Okay, my dudes. We are going to be having a very expensive live stream right now. Y'all know that usually we get in some $10 drafts. Usually we get in a $50. Usually we get in a $250 draft every stream. Well, now on Underdog Fantasy, I think we're going to go out and I think that we are hopping in multiple $250 drafts. Right now, I titled the live stream, I spent $500 on these 2021 fantasy football drafts because I'm assuming that we're going to enter two of the $250 drafts and we're going to do both on the live stream right now. Maybe we go a little more expensive. Maybe we go through and do three 2021 fantasy football drafts in the Big Dog. Now, I'm very excited about this because we're looking at the Big Dog right now, and I just think that based on what we have seen the past few days, that entering into it is going to be profitable. I think that we have been crushing these drafts. So let me go enter. Let's see how many people are currently in the lobby. Okay, so there are 6 spots available. So if you are wanting in this draft, y'all know where to find me. And this is perfect because we have a ton of people that watch this channel that go, Mason, you don't know what you're talking about. Mason, you have no idea what you're doing. And you may be right. But at the same time, I'm confident enough saying, you know what? Who knows if you know what you're doing? And if you think that you are better than me in fantasy football, you think you are a better fantasy football drafter than me, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell because we are doing a real money fantasy drafts every single night. And you can come out. We're doing $250 drafts right now. You can come take my money. So I know a lot of people know exactly how to join this draft right now. But for anybody who has no idea, okay, so we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is where we live stream every single night. This is my favorite place to draft and my favorite place to play fantasy football in 2021. And if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, what is fantastic is if y'all go out there and if y'all join Underdog Fantasy, which they don't just have $250 drafts, they have $3 drafts, they have $10 drafts, they have $5 drafts, they have whatever you would want. But if you go and join Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you can find the link in the description of the video, in the comment section, in the live chat, wherever you are looking, and you use that promo code FLOCK and make that $10 deposit, you are getting our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. That could easily be sold for $85, $90, $100. And our rankings and our tiers updated to the start of the season. You are getting hundreds of pages of information just for a $10 deposit, and Underdog Fantasy is going to add $25 to your account with promo code FLOCK. So make sure you join Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you get in these drafts with us. And I'll switch this over right now. And we are going to be waiting for 4 people to get into this draft. It's going to be a $250 league. So this is going to be exciting. Maybe it takes a little bit of time. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. And to be completely honest, guys, the reason why we're going out here and getting into exclusively $250 drafts tonight is Underdog Fantasy is running a promo because let's go back and let's kind of show y'all what exactly is going on with the Big Dog right now on Underdog Fantasy. This is Underdog Fantasy's highest stake tournament draft, where if you don't know about the public leagues on Underdog Fantasy, when you enter into a 12-man draft, of course, you're going to get paid out for getting first in the league. You'll get paid out for getting second. You'll get paid out for getting third. But what's more exciting than that is since this is also a public tournament, Underdog is guaranteeing that there's a certain amount of money in every league pot, and they are giving out a tournament invite for anybody who gets first or second in their 12-man league, where then during the fantasy football playoffs, you're actually going into a tournament for the fantasy football playoffs where you're going to be going up and facing off people against ridiculous prices at the very top. Like, let me go through and let me show off this contest that we're going to be doing right now for the Big Dog. So right here, this is the Big Dog. This is the one that we are joining. They also do this for the Puppy and Best Ball Mania. But if you look at this right now, there are only 1.1 thousand entrants and there are 2.3 thousand possible spots. And the reason is everybody is joining the Puppy. Everybody's doing the $5 draft. Everybody's doing the $25 draft. This 250 is filling very slowly to the point where it may not necessarily fill. And I've talked about this before, but if it doesn't fill, that's not like you're sitting here going, oh no, it didn't fill. This sucks. No, it's the exact opposite. It's perfect because on Underdog Fantasy, they're guaranteeing this price. So if it doesn't fill, that means you're going up in that tournament for $100,000 on top, $50,000, $40,000, $30,000 down the line, of course. And instead of having to go up against a giant field, you're going up against very few people, underdogs having to cover the rest. And we get our draft selection. We're going to be drafting at the 110 here. Okay, so we're going to try out something else. And let's go through and let's look at who is in this draft with us. This is a $250 draft. This is going to be insane. Okay, so if we go through right now, Deezinators, a regular to the channel. I mean, this is someone in every single draft with us. I mean, he was in the $250 drafts last night with us. A straight up crusher. Usually, I don't want to say this for anybody who is maybe not in here. I know that we're maybe giving away some of his strategy, but everybody in the live chat knows by now that Deezinators, his strategy is usually going running back early, then slamming in receivers after that. So I'm going to be interested to see what he does. Obviously, if Christian McCaffrey going at the 101, that's not going to be a surprise to anybody. And now checking out some donations real quick. Party Till She's Hot says JK ended up being out for the season. Like I told you, yeah, we assumed that J.K. Dobbins was out for the year last night. But of course, I mean, it was hard to say that with 100% confidence. Victor coming out with a donation. Victor, happy to see you out here. Says Mason, my man. Look who came out tonight, guys. We have Victor out in the chat. Okay, Victor, I hope you get into one of these drafts with us, my man. I'm really hoping that we see that. Okay. So now let's go through, and Nick says, how can we join the draft? Okay, so after we get done with this $250 draft, we're going to get another one going right after this. And after you're done setting up your Underdog Fantasy account, I recommend, guys, do not join Underdog Fantasy and go get in a $250 draft. That's going to be a very reckless decision. Instead, go hop in a $3. Instead, go hop in a $5 draft right now. It's a 30-second timer on Underdog Fantasy, so you really got to get used to drafting. You really got to get that muscle memory built in. But once you're comfortable, then we're going to be in the $250 lobby. So just make sure you're watching the draft. Make sure you're watching the stream. And once we get done with this draft, we will go enter in the lobby, and I'll tell y'all exactly how many spots are open for y'all to come in and hop into these drafts with us. Okay, and also, guys, if you have yet to already, I know that I'm looking at it right now. I mean, we've been live for like 5 minutes, and we already have almost 100 likes in the live stream. So thank you, everybody, for going down there and dropping that like. But make sure you go down there, drop that like if you have not already. So we have Travis Kelce going at the 106 after we have all the bell cow running backs going directly beforehand. So yeah, I'm assuming that this is going to be a league where we probably get a lot of these bell cows going at the top, and then we're getting wide receivers slammed directly after. So if we're picking at the 110, we're going to be in a little bit of an interesting spot where I think that we can try to build a little of a unique team. So let's see where Devonte Adams eventually goes off the board. I would have loved to be drafting here at the 107 to get Devonte Adams. I don't even know if he's going to go here. So yes, Devonte Adams goes at the 107. I mean, y'all know how much I love Devonte Adams this year for his floor and his ceiling combination. So you'll love seeing that if you're the 107. Now, Deezinators on the clock. This is a regular to the draft. This is a regular. Okay, so he goes Tyreek Hill. So if Tyreek was going to make it to us at the 110, I was going to take Tyreek Hill, no question. Now I think we have an interesting decision, and I may try something out that I know a lot of people are probably not going to like. I know we're going to get a lot of hate for this in the live chat. I don't care. This is my $250 draft. I'm the one that's out here with my money on the line trying to go and get the $100,000 prize on top. Okay, so Tanya takes Stephon Diggs. Okay, so I guess we aren't going with Stephon Diggs. Okay, we're going Calvin Ridley. I know people are going to hate it. If you hate it, hey, I got good news for you. Come out to these drafts. Come get in a draft with me. $250 on the line. My real money on the line out here. If you think you're a better drafter, come out here. You don't have to just talk smack in the chat. You don't have to just talk smack in the comment section. I got my money on the line every single night. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out. You can hop in some drafts with us. Aaron Jones goes directly after at the 111. A big thing is that I think that we're fine getting any of these running backs making it back to us at the 203. And I think we're going to see a tier drop off at receiver. And then if we get a DeAndre Hopkins, that's going to be fine. But I'd be fine with a Barkley. I'd be fine with an Eckler, a Taylor. You just don't necessarily want to see us be in a spot where we're having to look at a DK Metcalf at the 203. I don't want that. So yeah, Hopkins goes to the 112. That's what I was trying to avoid, because we knew that Hopkins was most likely going to go off before our next pick at the 203. And there were a couple names that we were going to be fine with making it to us at this next selection. And I didn't want to have to be coming away with just the DK Metcalf at the 203. So getting a Calvin Ridley, I know a lot of people are going to hate that pick, but my dudes, I think this played directly in our hands. I think that these running backs in a Saquon Barkley, a Jonathan Taylor, and Aaron Jones, and Austin Eckler, they're very similar where Jonathan Taylor goes. So to be completely honest, the running back that I would have taken at the 110 would have most likely been down between Aaron Jones and Barkley. I have Barkley higher in my rankings. I'm going to be excited to go with a Saquon Barkley here at the 203. That played out exactly how I thought it was going to. I knew a lot of people were probably going to give us some hate for that, but I mean, that's best case scenario. When you go with a Ridley at the 110, because we know that we're not going to get the chance to have a DeAndre Hopkins making it back to us, we still get a running back that we think can be a 3-down bell cow, someone that can be an Alvin Kamara and target an average 7 targets per game. That played out perfectly. Nick coming out with a donation says, I have 32% J.K. Dobbins at underdog, and I have 26% Gus Edwards. Okay, so my man, at least you saved yourself with that Gus Edwards exposure. And I didn't want to come out here and cry on the live stream yesterday, but I checked my Gus Edwards exposure. I have 4% Gus Edwards, and I had over 10% J.K. Dobbins. Like literally at this point, I'm not joking about this. If we are profitable this season after losing out on Cam Akers in half our dynasty leagues and after losing Travis Etienne in about 20% of our redraft leagues and about 40% of our dynasty leagues, and then missing out on J.K. Dobbins when we had over 10% of them just in redraft, we actually had more than that in dynasty. If we are profitable this season, I would take that result. And I'm kind of rolling over, taking the L before week 1 even starts. And also, I had I think we pulled it up in the live stream earlier today. I had 14% Irv Smith Jr. For whatever reason, this is what I said. I mean, I kind of jinxed this, I think, where last year we were so profitable among our just the high amount of leagues that we were in. I came out and I said there was no way that was going to happen again. We knew that was an outlier and that was going to come down. And my God, that came crashing to the earth. Yeah, so we have 13.4% Irv Smith Jr. as well. Now, Nick Chubb makes it to the 211. My God, how many teams have started out in this tournament with a Dalvin Cook and a Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb, we were calling him a massive avoid in the first round, but getting him at the 211, dear Lord, is that great value. I mean, you're getting him after Lamb, after Jefferson. You very rarely ever see receivers like this going ahead of Nick Chubb. I think this is a great pick to go with Dalvin and Nick Chubb. We've had a lot of drafts so far in the $250 leagues where we actually went with a Dalvin Cook and then a Joe Mixon, but I don't think we've ever seen Nick Chubb fall here. Okay, so E-Tone looks like he's maybe punting the receiver position a little bit. He goes with a George Kittle at the 302. And now that Irv Smith is possibly someone that you're no longer wanting to draft, I mean, the tight end position just got a little bit worse. So maybe you're going to see some of these teams reach a little on tight end. That way you're not having to try to take a guy like a Rob Gronkowski in the 13th round. Okay, so now let's go through and Tyler Lockett at the 304. Dear Lord, guys. Lockett at the 304. Let's look at some of the receivers that are still available. I mean, at receiver, you still have Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, DJ Moore. Yeah, there's no way in hell I would have been able to take a Tyler Lockett there. I think that is way too aggressive. Okay, James Robinson at the 305. Okay, so we have 3 running backs in a row here. Zeke, Harris, and James Robinson. Honestly, this is probably one of the few drafts that I have seen in the $250 leagues where people aren't necessarily putting a massive premium on a receiver. I mean, usually you see the 3rd round in these $250 drafts where it's just wide receiver. I mean, we've been in multiple of these drafts where you have only seen one non-wide receiver get drafted in the 3rd round. So now that you're seeing Robinson and Kittle off the board in the 3rd already, maybe that's setting the tone for this entire draft and going, hey, we're not going to just go crazy with the receiver value. Now, of course, it's going to be hard for me to make that adjustment right away in the 3rd round because we're looking off a very limited sample. But now we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire going at the 307. I think this team may be auto-drafting because they took it down to the very end of the clock with Devonte Adams. I think that DK Metcalf was actually the highest ranked player according to ADP as well. So they've gone 3 players in a row that are highest according to ADP. I am honestly, selfishly, kind of hoping that they're auto-drafting, given the fact this is a $250 draft. It's hard to know for sure, though. And okay, so we have Robert Woods going at the 308 to Deezenators. Okay, so Tanya is on the clock. Y'all know who we are hoping makes it back to us at the 310 here. So we have started Saquon Barkley and Calvin Ridley. We took Calvin Ridley in the first, knowing we could get a bell cow running back coming back to us in the second. We didn't know it was going to be Barkley. Honestly, I thought it was going to be Taylor. Amari Cooper goes off the board. I'm not going to be taking Mike Evans. I know a lot of people would rather see us go Mike Evans. Personally, I can't. I'm going to be chasing someone that I believe the volume is going to be there, and I'm not necessarily going to be trying to pay up for the touchdown efficiency. So we're going to be going with a Cooper Kupp as our second wide receiver, trying to build this wide receiver room up. I mean, we already have that player with an elite ceiling and an elite floor with a Calvin Ridley. So yeah, let's go Calvin Ridley, and then let's get Cooper Kupp at the 310. Again, Mike saying the auto draft team is nice as hell. Yes, sir. I mean, obviously that auto draft team is going to look good through 3 rounds, but that auto draft team may be looking atrocious by the time we get to about round 6, round 7. And guys, if you have yet to go down there and drop a like on this live stream right now, if you have yet to go down there and subscribe to the channel, what do I need to do? We are in $250 drafts every single night, showing you exactly my thought process through all of these drafts as someone that is closing in on probably doing a total of 250 drafts this season. I mean, if this doesn't show you exactly how confident I am with where we stand in our fantasy football ability, I don't know what will. Now we have David Montgomery going at the 312 in these $250 drafts. Very rarely do you actually have David Montgomery going in this range. Usually David Montgomery is actually making it to the end of the 4th round. I'm not saying this is a bad pick for David Montgomery at the 312. It's just intriguing to see, considering the fact this is where he usually goes in like the $5, the $10, the $25 drafts. But usually the $250 drafters, for whatever reason, they don't necessarily like David Montgomery that much. And now y'all know who we are hoping makes it back to us at the 403. And I'm sorry if I'm talking a little cryptic here. It's just hard for me to give out my exact thoughts leading up to our pick whenever we are going to be just playing in a league that's $250. Obviously, anybody can pull up the live stream right now and go, okay, well, this is what Mason wants. Maybe we just take it, try to put him on tilt. Okay, so we have Party Till She's Hot coming out with another donation. Says, dude, I'm done drafting Antonio Gibson. SPAC has tough luck. Yeah, maybe SPAC kind of showed us that we shouldn't be drafting Antonio Gibson. Now, here's my thought process, right? So y'all know I prefer in a vacuum taking Chris Godwin over Mike Evans. That is something that I've showed time and time again throughout all these drafts. But considering how much we are already invested into a Chris Godwin and trying to build a little bit of a unique team here, I think there's going to be less combinations of this team that has Calvin Ridley, Cooper Kupp, and Mike Evans with Saquon Barkley than Chris Godwin. So although I actually do have Chris Godwin ranked higher in our rankings, I think this is going to be a spot where it does make sense to more so look at the draft price when we're going to be playing in this many leagues. We have to consider draft price when we are drafting as well, because if we're just going off our rankings purely, we're going to see some ridiculous exposures to certain players where y'all already know that I am probably losing out on a ton of money given the Travis Etienne injury, given the Cam Akers injury. Those are players that I was extremely high on, but we actually limited our exposures where I was saying I don't want any more than 20% of any player, because when I'm playing in this many leagues, if we have a significant injury like we've already saw, I could literally just go bankrupt, and I can't have that happen. So we are going to have to mix our exposures just slightly. We are going to have to go with the Mike Evans. I will pull up exactly how many leagues I've drafted Mike Evans in compared to Chris Godwin. That way I can give everybody a good feel. Victor coming out with a massive donation. Says this true mother flocker is back for the 2021 season, showing some love, man. I am happy to have you back, guys. If y'all don't know Victor's actually been in Cancun, so he hasn't been able to make it out to the live streams that often, but he is back for the 2021 season. He was our all-time top donator of 2020. So my man, thank you so much. Of course, I hope you had a fantastic time in Cancun. I know that you were sending me some pictures from it. But yeah, thank you so much, my dude. I truly do appreciate that. That is absolutely massive. Okay, so now let's go back to this draft and let's kind of see anything that maybe stands out to us. And here we do have, oh my gosh, we have tight ends going up the board. We have Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews going both in the 4th round. This is the highest I have ever seen Mark Andrews get drafted. And maybe this has something to do with the Irv Smith injury. Maybe just Irv Smith being out is changing the tight end landscape, where you're going to have to spend some more on these tight ends to bring them onto your team. I mean, that is a significant draft price for Mark Andrews. To take him over a T. Higgins, I don't know if I can get behind that. I mean, in my opinion, T. Higgins is the exact player that I'm going to be looking at the 408. Let me real quick pull up my exposures because we were just talking about how much I prefer Chris Godwin over Mike Evans. And I kind of want to show y'all where we stand right now on Chris Godwin, where I currently have Chris Godwin as my 6th most player drafted. And I have him in 17.1% of my leagues for a total of $625 entries. And that's not even including the big dog. Underdog does a little bit of a different exposure for the big dog versus the regular draft. So let me go through and let me pull up our big dog exposures as well, because maybe we have drafted Chris Godwin in a few of these teams. So we have not drafted Chris Godwin yet in the big dog. We have not drafted Chris Godwin in a $250 draft, but still we have him in a ton of spots. Now, Adam Thielen, I think this is someone that I don't necessarily like in fantasy, but you do have to make him just a little bit higher in terms of the touchdown rate you're expecting him to possibly maintain from last year with the injury to an Irv Smith, because that is going to take away a red zone option for Kirk Cousins. So Adam Thielen, I'm going to be a little more excited about taking him at the 4-5 turn. Don't necessarily think we can go all in on it. Now you have Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, 2 wide receivers that pretty much go back-to-back in all of these drafts. And I think that we're actually going to get a running back that we really like making it back to us in the 5th round. And that's honestly why I kind of decided to pass on a DeAndre Swift here in the 4th. I mean, there's no reason for us to take a DeAndre Swift in the 4th when we know that the wide receivers that we're going to be looking at in the 5th round are going to be disgusting. When you do enough of these drafts, when you have just the muscle memory built in, you really have a great understanding of what you're going to be seeing. So I think that we honestly kind of have to pass on a running back in the 4th here, and we probably just have to go with Mike Evans and just continue to build this in. Yeah, so let's go and let's pull this up. And guys, y'all remember what I say in every single live stream that we have. There is no such thing as a bad pick in the 5th round. Once you get to the 5th round, I mean, all of these guys are in one massive tier where it's very hard to go through and say, well, I like this player over this one. I definitely want to be avoiding player X, where, I mean, yes, it's very appealing to have the elite level quarterbacks and a Josh Allen, a Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's going to be a little harder to pull off at the 5'10" when we don't have the potential to get a Mark Andrews making it back to us at the 603. However, whenever we do have Mark Andrews going in the middle of the 4th round. Okay, so Daryl Henderson goes to the 506. Honestly, I wasn't going to be considering Daryl Henderson here, to be completely honest. Now, Josh Allen at the 507, I probably would have taken the elite quarterback here. I would have been surprised if he made it back past this team at the 509, because you actually had Stephon Diggs going at the 109 earlier in this draft. Now, Deezinators on the clock after going Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift in the 2nd and the 4th round, and Tyreek Hill and Robert Woods in the 1st and the 3rd. So let's see where Deezinators goes, because I'm assuming that he honestly probably goes receiver here. So he goes Lamar Jackson. Okay, so this draft looks a little bit different than the other ones that we have been seeing, where it looks like teams are a little more willing to pass on these wide receivers. And to be honest, I think we honestly just kind of make the pivot over. And if this is going to be the one draft where we can get receivers cheaper than we have gotten them in any other big dog draft before, I think we are going to continue to hammer in the receiver position, especially when we do have the security of a bell cow running back here in a Saquon Barkley. So don't be surprised if we go with a receiver at this turn. Okay, so you have Josh Jacobs going at the 509. So Jacobs would have been the running back that I would have taken. Now I think between looking running back and receiver, I mean, there's no way I consider taking a Mike Davis, a Javonte Williams here when we see these teams between us. I mean, they actually have a decent amount of running backs and very limited receivers. So we're going to be going with an Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah, so let's just bring in Odell. We could see some random spike weeks. Keep in mind, this is going to be a best ball format where you could see the random spike weeks from an Odell, which we have seen demonstrated multiple times before. Now, I just think that getting caught on the wrong side of receiver in this format is going to be brutal. It's happened to us before. We can't afford that to happen again in a $250 draft. So let's go with an Odell Beckham Jr. at the 5'10". I'd be very surprised if we see either team here take a running back. Now, TJ Hawkinson, that would have been a tight end that we would have been happy to make it back to us. Now, Mike Davis does go at the 5'12". Devonta Smith at the 6'01". Okay, let's pull this up. I am almost certain we're going to be going with someone that sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Okay, so now let's see where Versher decides to go. No idea how I said that. I mean, I probably just sounded like an idiot. Just showed exactly how dumb I am. Now, Dan Lockett, subscribing to the channel, joining the flock. Thank you, my dude. And this team took Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Chris Carson, DJ Moore, and TJ Hawkinson. So here they actually end up coming away with a Laviska Shenault. So now it's going to be down between a Robbie Anderson and a Javonte Williams for me. Now in a vacuum, I think we do prefer a Javonte Williams, but we really have to be understanding that we have to be adjusting our format when we're playing in a 20-round draft like this, where I actually think it's going to be a little more advantageous to bring in another wide receiver. I mean, Robbie Anderson actually has the ADP of 55 in this format. We're going to be getting him 8 picks behind his ADP. So we're starting this team very heavy receiver. Keep in mind, this is a league format that kind of dictates that you go heavy wide receiver when you have 3 wide receiver mandatory starting spots, when you have the flex, and it's also best ball. So yeah, this is going to be a format where if we would have had TJ Hawkinson falling back to us at the 603, or if Robbie Anderson would have been selected either pick right here, we would have gone with a Javonte Williams at the 603. But the problem is Javonte Williams being 12 picks behind Robbie Anderson. It would have been very hard to kind of go through and justify that when we already have the bell cow running back, and we can try to take stabs later on in the draft for guys like Ronald Jones, guys like just say Zach Moss. And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, Mason, you idiot, you have to go with Javonte Williams there. Please stick around in the live draft and just wait it out for me and just look at what actually happens in the next 4 rounds. If you wait the next 4 or 5 rounds and see the wide receiver run that is about to occur, and then you still agree with me that I should have gone with the running back in that range, then yes, I'll roll over. I'll agree with you. But for now, I think Robbie Anderson is going to be the call. Now, Gus Edwards at the 605 obviously looks like massive value. Now, one concern that I have with drafting a Gus Edwards, a James Robinson in this format, however, is the fact that you're actually going to be going up against other teams in this tournament that were able to get Gus Edwards back when he was going in about the 11th or the 12th round. And I think if you're going up against those teams, it's going to be very hard for you to overcome that gap that you saw. So Gus Edwards in the 6th, if you're playing in a regular league, I think that is a fantastic selection. I think you're getting so many guaranteed touches in a very productive offense, especially when you're stacking him in with Lamar Jackson and making the bet on the overall Baltimore Ravens offense. I think that's a fantastic turn of events. Now, I was a little hesitant to go out there and draft the Gus Edwards just strictly because the other teams that we are going to be finding that took Gus Edwards earlier in this tournament format, by the time we get to the fantasy football playoffs, I don't necessarily want to be having that duplicate where those other teams are most likely a lot stronger at the other positions. Okay, so now let's switch this back over. Now we have Tyler Boyd, Michael Gallup, Deebo Samuel, Antonio Brown. I'm assuming that we're actually I'm not going to say anything right now just because this is a $250 draft. I really have to keep my mouth shut. I really have to make sure that we're not necessarily giving away any of our picks. Now, if we go through, if we look at some other teams so far that are building something similar to us, we actually have a Yankee Mind here building something similar where he only has 1 running back. We have G. Quinix only having 1 running back as well. They have Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry. We have something similar, I'm assuming, with the CMC team, who they just go with the Mike Williams here. We don't know what they're going to be doing at the 701, but potentially they pass on running back as well. We can't say this with certain, but there are other teams that have kind of loaded up on running backs. I mean, you have Cognition here, who has yet to draft a single receiver in this draft. This is going to be a very hard position to make up from, where I think they're going to be taking wide receivers that they may not necessarily like that much a little later on. Like, they're going to have to be taking some brutal receivers in the 9th and the 10th round. Okay, so now Trey Sermon does go at the 701, Myles Gaskin at the 702. I hate seeing Trey Sermon go at the 701. That would have been a fantastic running back to make it back to us at the 710. He would have fit this build extremely nicely. Of course, it kind of is what it is. We can't sit here and cry about it. However, now Myles Gaskin at the 702, completely fine with Myles Gaskin. And I mean, I wasn't necessarily sitting here and thinking that we needed a Myles Gaskin on this format. So Kenny Gallaudet goes to the 703. Definitely a faller as of late. I mean, Kenny Gallaudet has been falling like a rock. So that is one of those teams that had only drafted 1 running back up until this point. So they're going with another receiver here. Now, Damian Harris at the 704, completely fine seeing Damian Harris go. Not one of those running backs that we are going to be intrigued with. Everybody knows a running back that I need to shut up. I need to shut up. It's a $250 draft. It's a $250 draft. We have to make sure that we are keeping some cards behind our sleeve. Up our sleeve, whatever the saying is. You all know how stupid I am. Okay, so now let's see. Cognition. This is the team who has yet to draft a receiver. Now, he just takes his first guy with a Jalen Waddle at the 705. Takes someone that can have that spike week production. Okay, so he goes with a Jalen Waddle there. Now let's pull this back up. I can't necessarily just wait until we're back on the clock to show off what we are going to be looking at with our next pick, because it's a $250 draft. The pressure for me to do that would be a little too high. Okay, so Chin Bet's on the clock. He has Allen, CEH, Javonte Williams, Devonte Adams, DK Metcalf, Kyle Pitts. So a very balanced team so far. It is intriguing to see that he was able... Actually, this is the team that I believe most likely was on auto for the first 3 rounds of the draft. I am unsure. He took it down to the very end of the clock. Yeah, so he goes Chase Edmonds here. Okay, so he is clearly not on auto draft. Now, Deezenators is on the clock. He has Lamar, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Gus Edwards, Tyreek Hill, and Robert Woods. Now he goes DJ Chark at the 708. Okay, so Tanya on the clock. There are 2 players that I'm going to be looking at here that we could potentially get. One of them is going to be a J.K. Dobbins. If Dobbins falls, obviously as an ADP of 41.6, we're going to be at pick 82. So I think that would be a fantastic value. Of course, just me trying to be funny. I guess that's what we get in return. Our guy, Kareem Hunt, getting drafted. I would have loved to have Kareem Hunt making it to us at the 710. That sucks. We're going to go Courtland Sutton here, obviously, guys. That was a joke about J.K. Dobbins. I'm not an idiot, so we're going to go Courtland Sutton as our 6th wide receiver in this best ball format. So it looks like we're just the all wide receiver team from here on out. It looks like we are just continuing to soak up this value. Sutton actually had an ADP of 71. We get him at pick 82. Now we have McCole Hardman, Michael Thomas going off at the end of the 7th. Jalen Hurts at the 801. That's a very intriguing selection, and that I think that you could have confidently actually had Jalen Hurts making it back to you at the 1001. I mean, very surprising to see Jalen Hurts actually going at the beginning of the 8th. Now Will Fuller goes. Will Fuller would have been a receiver that we would have been very excited about getting. Now, if we're going to be looking at any of the quarterbacks in this range, none of these guys do have intriguing stacks that we could build on with our current receiver core. I think we continue to just bring in receivers that possibly set up a stack later on. So we're going to take Jarvis Landry here. That's going to be the 2nd Cleveland receiver that we have actually had. So yeah, if you look at our picks so far, every single one of these guys outside of Calvin Ridley has been significantly behind ADP. So this is a team that I know a lot of people are going to hate. Trust me, I know a lot of people are going to hate this. Like I said, this is my own $250. If you think you are a better drafter than me, if you think that you can come out here and exploit me, you can do it on the live stream right now. But let's see what happens after this. Okay, Fod says, no shot, Mason takes Raheem Mostert. No, I'm not taking Raheem Mostert. If Raheem Mostert falls to the end of the 9th, then we can consider taking him. Raheem Mostert, in my opinion, one of the most overrated players in fantasy football. I know the 49ers look great. I know they're going to be a great running team. Give me Trey Sermon every day of the week. If Sermon would have fallen to us at the 710, I would have been extremely happy to take Trey Sermon. Y'all know the guy that I really wanted was actually going to be a Kareem Hunt here at the 710. That doesn't end up happening, so it kind of sucks. We kind of have to make that pivot. Okay, so now we have Corey Davis go at the 805. And another thing is, JN actually told me earlier today that Underdog's giving out like a $60,000 chain for anybody who enters the big dog before midnight tonight. I mean, obviously you're getting put in a giveaway. They're not giving out a $60,000 chain to everybody. And JN told me there were only like 100 people to enter it during the time period that it was. I don't know what that number is about right now because JN sent me that earlier today. But that's another reason that I wanted to go out there and try to hop into this, because obviously, when Underdog says they're giving away a chain worth $60,000, in my mind, I'm not just automatically assuming that chain's worth $60,000. I hate to say it. I know maybe it's not something I should say. I would imagine whenever I hear any company say something like that, it's probably worth a little bit less. But still, if it's worth $50,000, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. And Jay sent me a picture of it. Not going to lie, it actually looks pretty cool. I thought it was going to be stupid, but it looks pretty cool. Okay, so we have Raheem Mostert, A.J. Dillon going in the 8th. Would have loved to have A.J. Dillon making it back to us. Now, tight end is going to be something I think we have to be a little worried about. I think we have to be worried about tight end, considering the fact that, I mean, obviously, Irv Smith going down it just makes the player pool that more thin. They also have an Adam Trautman injury that we have to be concerned with, Adam Trautman falling down as well. So seeing tight ends go off the board is not a great situation. I would love to see some tight ends falling. Now, Devonte Parker goes at the 811. Devonte Parker, one of my highest drafted receivers so far. Let's go through and let's show the entire draft board. And Justin Herbert at the 812. Talk about value. This team actually ended up getting Keenan Allen and Mike Williams as well. So this CMC team, this clearly has to be the best team so far in the draft. At running back, they have Christian McCaffrey, Trey Sermon. At tight end, they have Darren Waller. At quarterback, they have Justin Herbert, and they're stacking him with the receivers. You go through and you look at this. They have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Justin Herbert. Got all three players at a value according to their ADP. That's a fantastic build. That's a fantastic build. Okay, so now let's switch this. Mike says, dang, Hunt fell so far. Yeah, can you imagine if we would have got Kareem Hunt in the 7th round? I would have been jumping up and down. I would have been jumping up and down with excitement. Now, Joe Burrow goes to the 904. Interesting to see these quarterbacks going a little early. I mean, I'm used to seeing these quarterbacks go in the 10th and 11th round instead. Okay, so Dallas Goddard. Okay, so this is intriguing here. This team right here, I'm going to say it. I hate to be an ass. Cognition, given the format, is completely dead. At this point, he has invested in a Mark Andrews, Noah Fant, and Dallas Goddard. At receiver, he has just Jalen Waddle. This team is a dead team. It's a $250 draft. And there's a dead team entered into it. That is crazy. Now we have Curtis Samuel at the 906. Let's kind of figure out where we are going to be going with our next few picks. Okay, so Rodgers is still available. Obviously, we do not have an Aaron Rodgers stack. We do have to be a little aware of the fact that Rodgers does have an ADP of 88. So possibly just getting him here regardless would be fine. Hollywood Brown goes at the 908. I think with how far Michael Carter is currently falling, I can't consider drafting Michael Carter at the 910, despite the fact that we do need a running back. Now, the teams behind us each have 3 RBs. They each have 4 wide receivers as well. One of them is missing the tight end position. Okay, so let's see where Tanya decides to go. So they have Dak, Gibson, Jacobs, Hunt, and then 4 receivers that honestly I think you feel confident with. Oh my God. We wanted Higbee. Higbee was someone that I honestly would have preferred over the tight ends going previously. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry if I slammed the desk, guys. Higbee would have made this team so good. I guess we go Rodgers now. This is like 20 picks minus ADP. We're going to go Aaron Rodgers at the 9-10. Bring in our first quarterback. Gosh dang, I really wanted Higbee. I mean, he was someone that in the majority of drafts, you're actually having him go over Dallas Goddard. You're having him go over players like Noah Fant. It's crazy to see him fall to the 909, and we almost get him at the 910. I would have loved to have Tyler Higbee there. I hate this guy. Tanya, I don't know if you're in the live stream right now, but you're officially an enemy of the channel. An enemy of the channel right here. First, the snipe on Kareem Hunt. Now the snipe on Tyler Higbee. My God. Okay, so no good Logan on the clock. This is the team that took Jalen Hurts at pick 85. I don't understand the thought process taking Jalen Hurts at pick 85. Even if you want the Devonte Smith stack, like you could have easily gotten Jalen Hurts here at the 108. Now we see Cole Beasley go at the 912. This is when we start to see these teams reach on a receiver. So I know a lot of people probably wanted us to get hate on that we were drafting someone like a Jarvis Landry at pick 87. But you see Cole Beasley going at pick of 108. I think that kind of shows why we were taking wide receivers in that range. Okay, so now I think that anybody with the brain kind of knows where we are wanting to take this next pick. It's kind of obvious. I know a lot of people want to scream, Mason, go Michael Carter. Mason, go Ronald Jones. Go Zach Moss. Yes, honestly, I kind of like these running backs here. And I was kind of predicting that we were going to draft these running backs in the 10th. And I know it's scary. We only have Barkley so far. But given the injury to Irv Smith and how there's one less exciting tight end in the player pool that we can draft, and we can get Aaron Rodgers here. A big reason why I drafted Aaron Rodgers because we figured that we were actually going to want to get Robert Tonyan with this next selection. So yeah, we are going to go and we are going to draft Aaron Rodgers and Robert Tonyan to get the Green Bay stack in here at this turn. So far at receiver, we have Ridley, Kupp, Evans, Odell, Robbie, Cortland Sutton, Jarvis Landry. We have Saquon Barkley at running back. And then we have the combination of Aaron Rodgers and Robert Tonyan at tight end. Yeah, so we were definitely taking Rodgers with it in mind that we were going to get Robert Tonyan at the 10:03. I'm glad it panned out. To be honest, I probably would have preferred to go with a Tyler Higbee at the 9:10 and then get someone like a Ronald Jones at the 10:03, but it is what it is, and you just got to take it and move on. Now, Elijah Moore goes at the 10:05. Adam coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, I went Harris, Henry, A.J. Brown, Are two Tennessee Titans players okay? Yeah, of course, man. I'm one that actively tries to go out there and get the correlation in our starting lineup. I'll say that it's not as good to have the starting running back and the starting receiver, but if you're going to be making the bet on the overall Tennessee Titans offense to continue to see those trips to the red zone, I would really want to have Ryan Tannehill on that team because you're already so committed to the Tennessee Titans. The only way that team's any good in the slightest is if Ryan Tannehill is, so might as well go through and go, okay, well, we're already making this bet. Let's just double down. Let's hit that parlay that can maximize your ceiling. Now, Zach Moss goes to the 10:06. Of course, it would have been fantastic to get Zach Moss falling to us in the 11th round, but nobody was expecting that to happen. We know that now you're going to get some of these receivers going. And the reason why we decided to go receiver early is because we didn't want to be the guy taking Jalen Reagor in the 10th round. I mean, I prefer taking a Robert Tonyan over Jalen Reagor. Now you have Mike Gesicki at the 10:09. I really do like Mike Gesicki, but I mean, it's clear that you have to go Robert Tonyan when we have Aaron Rodgers on the team. And guys, if you have yet to go down there and drop a like on the live stream, make sure you go down there, drop that like. We're going to get another $250 draft going after this one. I mean, let's get this live stream over 300 likes. That should be really easy. We have 600 people in here. And if you are new to the stream, guys, we live stream real money fantasy football drafts with my real money every single night. So, I mean, this is, in my opinion, the best way to show y'all exactly how confident I am with what we can do in a fantasy football draft, how we can hunt for value and build a strong roster with giving my exact thought process at the same time. And also it gives everybody an opportunity who thinks that they can beat me on the live stream. It gives them an opportunity to come out here and show what they have. And like we've said so many times before, guys, but when you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, which is where we draft every single night with promo code FLOCK, and you make that $10 deposit, you actually get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our 2021 Rookie Dynasty Draft Guide. You get our 2021 rankings and tiers that are going to be updated until the start of the season. You get all of that and $25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK. If we get 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy, we're doing a 24-hour live stream. We're flying people to Tampa, Florida to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with me. Go to the Florida Flock meetup. So please make sure you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. You can find the link in the live chat. You can find it in the description of the video. And I know, guys, if I was sitting in your shoes, if I saw someone on YouTube saying that you could have hundreds of pages of draft guides, you could have rankings and tiers, you get $25 added to your account, all with just a $10 deposit, I would go, okay, what's the catch? Is he trying to get me to sign up for some monthly thing? What's going on? No, literally. It's just this partnership that we have with Underdog Fantasy. It's the perfect thing that we have ever done. And I know I ask this very often of y'all in the live chat, but just because I know if I was in your shoes, I wouldn't necessarily believe someone on YouTube saying all of this. So please, in the live chat right now, if you got the 2021 draft guide by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, please, please, please let me show everybody else that's out there in this live chat right now that this is a legit thing. Please spam, I got the draft guide. I got the draft guide, and give your honest thoughts on the draft guide as well. Let them know if you think it was worth a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy and if you think that it actually prepared you for your drafts this year. But let's switch this back over. After having Kenyon Drake going off the board, I'm a little upset in that Kenyon Drake, a running back that I would have loved to bring on as our running back too. But now we have Chimbitz on the clock, has only 4 receivers. So I'm assuming that we're probably going to get another receiver drafted here, whether that's in Nelson Aguilar or Rashad Bateman, Corey Davis. So they go Traequan Smith. Now, Deezenators on the clock. They have 6 receivers, so we could possibly see them decide to draft a receiver here. Now, Irv Smith, this is why we decided to take a Robert Tonyan in the last round, is because now we can't really consider Irv Smith at the 11-10. Now, Tanya on the clock. They actually have 2 quarterbacks right here, so I guess it's a little less likely that they go with the Justin Fields, that they go with a Trevor Lawrence. But to be honest, I'm probably going to be trying to draft 3 quarterbacks on this team, considering the fact that I think we can kind of get away with it, considering the players that we actually took at receiver. Okay, so now Tanya on the clock. Don't take our guy. Prayers up. Prayers up, guys. We get another running back. Oh, my Lordy. Do y'all know how bad that would have been if we did not get Melvin Gordon at the 11-10? Obviously, Javonte Williams is eventually going to be the starting running back there. Nobody is expecting Melvin Gordon to be the 3-down guy all season. But we need to get Melvin Gordon at the 11-10. We need to get a running back coming in here and getting touches. We're going to get Melvin Gordon as our running back 2 on the same team that we have Saquon Barkley. Whew, that was scary. I thought we weren't going to be able to pull that off. I thought this was going to be looking really ugly. Okay. Now from here, I guess we can see these teams kind of do anything. They're very balanced. 3 running backs, 6 receivers, both a quarterback and a tight end. So they go Paris Campbell at the 12:01. Gerald Everett goes to the 11:12. Honestly, I kind of thought that we were going to be taking Gerald Everett at the 12:03. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence went at the 11:11. Okay, so Trevor Lawrence, obviously a very good performance today. Sterling Shepard at the 12:02. I think we're just going to go Jamal Williams. I know Jamal Williams is a 6-pick reach by ADP. I think at this point, we're just looking for running backs coming in that are going to get touches every single week and have upside for more if the running back in front of them goes down. So yeah, obviously you have DeAndre Swift kind of dealing with a groin injury at the moment. DeAndre Swift goes to the 405. We're going to get Javonte Williams at the 12:03. That was a pick that if y'all have a nice pitch for what we should have done differently in the live chat, I would be completely open to hearing it. So if y'all think that Jamal Williams was a poor selection there, please let me know. But I think that we honestly kind of had to go Jamal, just hunting running backs. That he's the perfect guy. He's going to be getting about 9 to 12 touches every single week. No, they're not going to be high value touches, so you're not necessarily expecting him to be a solid running back too. But he could find his way in the end zone once or twice. I mean, preferably about 6 to 8 times if we're just talking best case scenario. So yeah, Jamal Williams is going to be there. Okay, Party Till She's Hot says, I like it when you have a good time. It makes the vibe. I'm having a great time right now, guys. Does it seem like I'm not having a good time? I promise you, maybe I seem a little stressed, but that's because we have $250 on the line. So maybe it's a little better whenever we have only $10 on the line and we can just dance around and not necessarily have to worry about a lot. But these $250 drafts, the pressure is on, my dudes. The pressure is on. Now, Gabriel Davis honestly would have been the receiver that we would have taken there at the 12:03. We probably would have gone with the Gabriel Davis. Okay, so someone told us to get Alexander Madison at the end. Then Alexander Madison goes the following selection. Yeah, we weren't getting Alexander Madison that much later than where he went. Okay, so now Nelson Aguilar, Jamison Crowder. I just really like this Gabriel Davis selection in terms of just trying to chase those receivers that could have that elite level upside. Now, if we go through, if we look at this team right here, this is what I was talking about in me thinking that this team is dead just because you're going to be playing in a league where you need to start 3 receivers every single week. We go through, yes, you have the elite quarterback in Russell Wilson. You have the best running backs in the league with Zeke, Najee Harris, James Robinson, Miles Sanders. And honestly, I'd be fine if from here you stop drafting running backs and you only took 1 more tight end and 1 more quarterback at the end of the draft. And it was just receivers all the way through. But taking Noah Fant over the Devonte Parker, Darnell Mooney, Michael Pittman tier was just a massive blunder in my opinion, as well as taking Dallas Goddard over the Curtis Samuel, Russell Gage, Hollywood Brown. If this would have been receiver, and there would just been receivers down the line and rolling in with those 4 running backs and those 4 running backs only, I think it could have been potentially fine. I think it could have been a fine team, but the problem is just pushing it a little too far. Okay, so now let's switch this over. Okay, so now Damian Brown goes to the 13:01. So a little early for Damian Brown. I mean, I've actually been seeing Damian Brown go like the end of the 14th, the beginning of the 15th. But a big thing that we have talked about time and time again is when you're picking at the 101, there's no such thing as a reach. When you're picking at the 101, I mean, literally, you're just going to be seeing so many receivers go off the board between here. I mean, probably you have no shot at getting a Damian Brown. So I guess if you want him, just go out there and get him. Ryan Fitzpatrick goes to the 13:03. Okay, so this is a team that has only taken 2 running backs, so they are even thinner than we are. We go through, they have Alvin Kamara and James Conner, and that is it. So they're essentially saying, well, if Chase Edmonds gets hurt, then we should have taken Sony Michel over Jamal Williams. Oh my God. That was a blunder. We should have taken Sony. We should have taken Sony Michel over Jamal Williams. Fantastic pick of Sony Michel at the 13:04. Just showing us how it's done. Showing us how it's done. Especially because a lot of the teams that drafted in these leagues at the very beginning of this contest, they don't have a Sony Michel. They don't have Sony Michel on their roster. So that is a fantastic draft right there. Okay, so Christian Kirk goes to the 13:05. Okay, so let's switch this over. And now, this is what I call running back heaven. So yeah, we only have 3 running backs. But you better believe we're getting someone that we're fine with the following selection. You better believe we're getting someone that we're fine with. If not, it is what it is. Now, actually, we need to shut up. This is a $200. What am I talking about? This is a $250 draft. Okay, so we have Matt Ryan going at the 1307. Yeah, Matt Ryan going at the 1307. Let's just keep our mouth shut and let's see what happens after this. Okay, so I need to check the teams between us. Okay, so 3 running backs. Okay, so both teams between us only have 3 RBs. Evan Ingram's also... Okay, Evan Ingram suffered an injury that I did not see 3 hours ago. Does anybody have an update on Evan Ingram? This is something that I need to look up before we are on the clock. Jared Cook goes at the 1308. Thank God we took Robert Tonyan earlier. Thank God. Okay, let me look up Evan Ingram. Let's see how serious this injury is. Okay. Now, Randall Cobb goes. So now we're going to be, quote unquote, reaching to get Nyheim Hines. Actually, this is not a reach. This is behind his ADP. Nyheim Hines, the perfect player for this team. The perfect player. Okay, so Aroda says, how much money total have you invested into underdog drafts? What I'd advise you to do is go to every single live stream that we've done every night so far this season and count it up. Count it up. And then just assume that we've been drafting a lot in the middle of the day as well, which we've had. Of course, I'm joking about that. My dudes, I don't want to be telling how much money I've invested in an underdog, though. It's honestly kind of embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing how much money that we have in buy-ins on underdog fantasy. I've been addicted to drafting because I'm not only drafting on this stream, my dudes. I've been drafting a ton during the day because a big thing that I do throughout the entire day is just fantasy football podcasts. I uploaded 10 podcasts today on Patreon, breaking down new members of the flock, their teams on Patreon. So we uploaded 10 of those podcasts. And as I record those podcasts all day, because it takes me hours and hours and hours, and while I definitely enjoy making those podcasts for all new flock members, I mean, at the same time, I can definitely load up drafts and I can be doing drafts on the second monitor at the same time. So now I'm sure that everybody knows where we're going with this next selection. I decided that we could have definitely gone with the running back and got him back at the 1403 when we took a look at these teams right here. I was not necessarily having to worry about him not falling back to us. So yeah, let's go out there and we're going to get our next quarterback. I don't love him in fantasy this year, but a big thing is when we take on this team, like look, we have both Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. We are already so invested into him. We kind of have to take Baker Mayfield. So let's take Baker Mayfield at the 1403. Yeah, so I don't love Mayfield, but now we're only going to be drafting 2 quarterbacks. And if we're talking about the construction of this team so far, I think we're probably going to take a total of 5 to 6 running backs and cap it there. We're going to go 2 quarterbacks, most likely 3 tight ends. We're going to have to draft 3 tight ends with this build, and then the rest will be a receiver. Tyler says, so far I've gotten 3 people to use promo code FLOCK. Everyone tell your friends. My man, Tyler, literally that is amazing. You have no idea how much it helps to support the channel when you get your friends to sign up on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. I mean, I'm not even focusing in on telling people to do that because that is a big ask. I think it's so simple literally, guys, if I pull this up right now to show y'all how many views, to be completely transparent, that we have gotten in the past 48 hours. In the past 48 hours, we have gotten 105,000 views. 105,000 views in the past 48 hours. If we get 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, we're doing a 24-hour live stream. We're going through and we are flying people. Keep in mind, I'm not having to pay for it. Underdog is having to pay for it. That's why I keep pumping this. This is why I'm trying to beg y'all to go join Underdog Fantasy. So Underdog pays to fly people out with a giveaway for people who use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy to Tampa, Florida, to go to the Florida Flock meetup, to go to a Bucks game with me. So I'm trying to hit that 10,000 mark, and it should be easy. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, you get $25 added to your account with a $10 deposit and promo code FLOCK. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You get our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. You get our rankings and tiers updated all the way to the start of the season. So it should be easy. Make sure y'all go out there And make sure y'all use promo code FLOCK on Underdog. Now, Adam says, where can I go and listen to your podcast? Okay, so with my podcast, we're only doing podcasts breaking down new members of the Flock team on Patreon. So whenever you join the Flock on Patreon, you send me your team, whether that's a dynasty team, whether that's a 2021 fantasy team, and then I go through and I make a podcast for it and I upload it over there on Patreon. Okay, well, let's go through and let's show off this draft board for anybody just now coming into the live stream. So you're going to look at our team and it looks very unique. So please keep an open mind when you're seeing the amount of receivers that we slammed in the middle rounds here. Ridley in the first, Barkley in the second. The reason we took Ridley in the first is we mapped out what you were going to be seeing, Aaron. We knew that there was probably no chance that we got either Ridley or Hopkins making them back to us, and we figured there was a decent shot we got one of these 4 running backs. So we got one in Barkley in the second. Then Kupp, Evans, Odell, Robbie Anderson, Cortland Sutton, Jarvis Landry, Aaron Rodgers, Robert Tonyan. Then we get Melvin Gordon, Jamal Williams, Nyheim Hines at running back, and Baker Mayfield at quarterback to get the double stack in there with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. But KJ Hamler goes to the 1407. Hate seeing KJ Hamler get drafted. That would have been someone I would have been very excited to go out there and bring in. Okay, so now we have Josh Palmer at the 1504. So now let's switch this back over. And at what point, like, I'm not saying that we're going to be drafting Irv Smith at this turn, but there is a point in this draft where we would potentially have to consider drafting Irv Smith Jr. I don't necessarily know when that is, but we have to keep it in mind that it is something that we may have to look to do. And because right now we don't have, at least I have not seen any updates on Irv Smith Jr. Do we know if he's out for the year? Or do we know if he's just out for the beginning of the season? Yeah, so we still don't know. We still don't know if Irv Smith is going to be out for the year or just the beginning of the season. Okay, so Austin Hooper goes to the 1507. T.Y. Hilton, also someone that suffered an injury as of late, and it sucks. I have drafted T.Y. Hilton in a lot of leagues. A lot of leagues. Okay, how long is Adam Trautman supposed to be out for? We can't. We're not looking at quarterback. I know Rodgers and Baker Mayfield, they each have the same bye week. I think we honestly may just have to take the L there. I honestly think we may. Possibly in the last round or two, we would look at quarterback, but right now we can't. Okay, so Dobbins not in play. Irv Smith not in play. Latavius, honestly, I don't want to consider. T.Y. Hilton, Adam Trautman. It's honestly probably down between Giovanni Bernard and Philip Lindsay for me here. At receiver, there are a lot of the same guys in the same tier. No, you know, guys, tight end is about to get real gross. Tight end is about to get disgusting to the point where we have to take Anthony Firkser. I know it's a horrendous pick. We're going to have to roster 3 tight ends. We're just hoping that he's going to get some routes run. We're just hoping that he's going to get some targets at the very minimum. But it's about to get really gross. And it's going to be hard to take one of these injured players in this kind of format. So we're just going to go with Firkser at the 15-10. Let me know what y'all think about that. But I think we honestly kind of had to. Dwayne Eskridge at the 15-11. And there are just a couple of these wide receivers that I think we'd be fine with. And if we're going through, the thing is at quarterback, I think we can get someone in the 17th round that we could potentially cover that 20-point loss with for week 13. So we may end up taking a quarterback depending on what falls to us in week 17. In round 17. But I don't think we're doing that right here. So Jameis Winston goes to this. Actually, we may have. If Jameis Winston type quarterbacks are already going off. So there's Wilson, Darnold, Wentz, Goff, Mac Jones. Mac Jones would be starting by the time we get to week 13. Teddy Bridgewater. There are enough quarterbacks where I think we can get someone making it back to us. So instead, I actually think that we're going to go with a Giovanni Bernard here. We're going to go with Gio as someone who's showed us that he's going to be used on it's a third down very often. You know what we may actually do? We may go Philip Lindsay. We're going to go Philip Lindsay. We're going to bring him in. We're going to bring in our 5th running back. We're probably done at running back, to be honest. We may get a 3rd quarterback in here depending on what falls to us in the 17th round. At receiver, I think we kind of have enough. Of course, we're going to throw some random bodies at the end of the draft, but we have not taken a receiver in a very long time. Yeah, so we're going to go through and we're going to take a Philip Lindsay at the 1603, and we're going to get another $250 draft going right after this. Okay, so Gio does end up going at the 1604. Let me know who y'all prefer between Philip Lindsay and Giovanni Bernard. That was something that I really had no idea what to do between. I think we made the right call on Philip Lindsay, to be honest. I think we made the right call. Tevin Coleman at the 1605. I'm sorry, guys, that I'm not checking the live chat as often. It's just, this is a $250 draft, so you better believe it is very stressful. It is very stressful. Yadi else says, Mason, how much do you rate the draft grades on ESPN, Yahoo, etc.? I'm stressing right now. Literally, the last time I cared about that was when I was in like a Yahoo league in like 2013. Like, not at all, my man. Not at all. I mean, I'm surprised that people are still playing in those leagues, to be honest, on those platforms. Okay, so Matthew says, why are we doing another 250? It's because Underdog right now is giving away a $60,000 chain for anybody. I mean, not for anybody. They're doing it as a giveaway for the people entering into these $250 drafts. They said, let me look at the tweet that JN sent me. Let me pull it up real quick. I'll just show it on the screen really quick. And also keep in mind, I think that Underdog's going to have to pump some money into the $250 drafts just because it looks like they may not necessarily fill. So let me find my DM with JN. Yeah, okay, so this is what JN sent me. I'm sure that JN is not going to care that I show our DMs on the screen. Okay, so yeah, this is the chain that Underdog's doing as a giveaway for the people entering into these $250 drafts. I have no idea who the hell this is. So JN sent me that there was pretty much like 130 people who entered into the giveaway because this is what Underdog tweeted out. Tonight's your last chance. If you entered in the big dog before 12 a.m. Eastern, you will be automatically entered to win a $60,000 custom chain from Ben Baller. I have no idea who the hell Ben Baller is. When they say this is worth $60,000, I'm a little bit of a skeptic in that I never really believe companies when they say stuff like that. Even if it's only worth $50,000, it's $50,000. Of course, I should probably say it's worth 60. I have no idea. I have no idea anything about chains. And what I would probably do if I sell it is if I probably got it, I'd sell it for like 20. I'd probably just get rid of it, but it's $20,000. And if you do the math on how many people are entering into these contests, it's so plus EV to enter into the big dog right now. They're making it so plus EV that I think we have to do another $250 draft. Okay, so now we have some more receivers going off. We do want receivers falling to us. We definitely need receivers falling to us in this range. Now, Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, the only quarterbacks going. I was really also hoping we got Zach Ertz making it back to us in the 17th round. I was hoping we had Zach Ertz, but it is what it is. Ertz goes. We can't cry about it. Colin Johnson at the 1705. Y'all know Colin Johnson is someone that we've been consistently taking in these drafts. Ethan says, Ben Baller is authentic. Is he a rapper or something? Okay, Jayan says, that's not the chain, a sample of his work. Okay, Jayan, thank you for clarifying. I had no idea. Thank you for clarifying, Jayan. That was not the chain that Underdog is giving away. That is not the chain that Underdog is giving away. Okay, Alex says, made an Underdog account with the promo code. Haven't been able to find the rankings or the guide. Look through my email and the app. Where can I get them? Thanks. Oh, man, thank you so much for asking this. So literally all you have to do, guys, is go to the description of this video right now. You'll see exactly how you get the Underdog. I mean, exactly how you get my draft guide, my rankings, and everything when you make that Underdog account, make that $10 deposit. You just have to shoot me a DM literally anywhere. If you don't have social media, that's completely fine. Check the description of the video, and you'll see there's a very easy way to shoot me a DM through our fantasy football group chat. And all you have to do is shoot me a DM and say, hey, Mason, listen up, you bum. I use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. I need the rankings. I need the draft guide. Get them to me now. And I'll just say, Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll get you that draft guide ASAP. So thank you for asking that. And just shoot me a DM and I'll be happy. And all you have to do is send me the email you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with. Send me the email you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with, and I'll send that out right away. Chuba Hubbard at the 1708. Fantastic pick with a Chuba Hubbard. At 5 running backs with Barkley, Melvin Gordon, Jamal Williams, Nyheim Hines, Philip Lindsay. We're going to take one more. If this was an 18-round draft, we won it. But I think in this format, we actually want to. Now we go through. Probably going to take a tight end here as well. No, I don't think we can take a tight end. I think we actually need to go QB. So we're going to go Carson Wentz here. I know it's not ideal getting 3 quarterbacks in this format. Y'all, let's just take Carson Wentz. Wentz will be back by the time we get to week 13. It's not fantastic. It is what it is, though. We're going to go Carson Wentz. We only have 7 receivers, so we have 3 more rounds. We're going to have to at least bring in 9 receivers. So we're either getting 1 more tight end or 1 more running back, but we have to draft 2 more receivers no matter what. Okay, so Justice Hill, Samaje Perine. Really like the Justice Hill selection. Okay, so Teddy Bridgewater goes at 1802. So here I think that we actually end up probably... I think we go Malcolm Brown as our last run. Who do we have at tight end? We have Anthony Ferguson and Robert Tonyan. When we have Tonyan, I think we're kind of pot committed at that point. We're going to go Malcolm Brown at running back as our 6th guy, and then we're going to take 2 receivers from here. We're going to go Malcolm Brown. Okay, so let me scroll down real quick, show off this entire draft board. Chris Dobbs coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, where should Adams go in a PPR, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex? So I actually talk about in our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide exactly how to adjust for your league format and how you want to be optimizing your roster given the exact league settings that you have. We talk about scoring, starting lineup requirements, league size, and everything that you could ever imagine. But here, if you're actually going to be playing in a league that only starts 2 receivers and 1 flex, you do need to be just going through and lowering down what you are doing for the players that are going to be at receiver because you're so capped in the amount of depth that you can actually go for that a Devonte Adams is going to be worth slightly less. So as of now, since Jameis Winston has been named the starter for New Orleans, we've actually currently had to move down Devonte Adams anyway to the 104 behind Alvin Kamara. But I actually think that we would move Devonte Adams a little behind there in a league where you can only start 2 receivers and 1 flex. I think he has to fall behind both Ezekiel Elliott and Derrick Henry at the same time, and Saquon Barkley, of course. So I think you actually have to move Devonte Adams down to like the 107, to be honest. Okay, so now let's go through and Adam Humphries at the 1802. So let's switch this over. Mac Jones at the 1809. So Mac Jones, I think that in a format like this, that's a very good pick. Let's go check out Yankee Mano right here. I believe that is his name. Let's see what he has done so far in this draft. So at running back, he has Sony, Tony Pollard, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris, and then Derrick Henry. And G Quinks is the other team that I think is kind of irregular here, going very thin at running back. They drafted Alvin Kamara, James Conner, J.D. McKissick, David Johnson. Do y'all think that was a wasted pick when I went Malcolm Brown? Would I have been better off going with the 3rd tight end? To be honest, let me know if y'all think that was a bad pick, me going with the 6th running back there. I would not have gone with the 6th running back if we were playing in a league that only had 18 rounds. But in 20 rounds, I think that maybe we actually get a little more flexibility to go with that last running back. And now I'm also going to be entering into the next $250 big dog draft real quick, just because I don't want to necessarily have to sit around in the lobby. So let me go enter in that contest. Okay, yeah, so we are in the lobby for the next $250 big dog draft. If anybody wants to hop into the next draft with us, there are currently 9 spots. So if you want to hop into this next draft, just go to the public lobby on Underdog Fantasy and then go to the big dog. It's the draft with $250 as the buy-in. So make sure you go there and you will see me in that lobby. And yeah, we're just going to wait until that gets filled. Let's switch this back over. So the 1910 here. Exactly how long is T.Y. Hilton going to be out? O.J. Howard goes to the 1908. Yeah, if he's going to be placed in the IR, I think we have to avoid. I don't think we can take him. Okay, so in my opinion, we honestly probably have a clear call at receiver where we're going to go with an Amari Rodgers here. We do have Aaron Rodgers, so let's just bring in Amari Rodgers. Yes, Randall Cobb coming in kills the excitement that Amari Rodgers had at the beginning of the offseason. But going Amari Rodgers at the 19-10, I think does make a lot of sense when we need another wide receiver. And at the same time, I mean, it's going to be advantageous going out there and bringing in that stack that we're going to have with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so now we have, after this, Hunter Renfrow at the 19-11. Hunter Renfrow, I think, is a very good pick in this range. And there are currently 5 spots available in our next Big Dog draft if anybody wants to come out and hop in the Big Dog with us. Okay. So you actually have Jared Goff making it to the very last round. Very last round for Jared Goff, essentially. Okay, so Mo Alley Cox, the 19-12. Interesting to see Mo Alley Cox go before Donald Parham. I mean, Donald Parham has actually been consistently going in like the 18th round in these drafts. Reasonably, who do we get more spike weeks from? So at receiver, we have Ridley, Kupp, Evans, Odell, Robbie Anderson, Cortland Sutton, Jarvis Landry, Amari Rodgers. Do we get more points this season from a Donald Parham, or do we get more points this season? The receiver that we would take would be Rashad Higgins. I'm wondering if we go with Rashad Higgins here or Donald Parham. I think we're going to go Donald Parham. We're going to go Adam Troutman. We're going to go Adam Troutman in the last round, in the 20th round. So we have both Robert Tonyan and Anthony Ferkshire on a week 13 bye. So getting Adam Troutman, who's going to be probably, guaranteed to be back by like week 5, I think that's going to make a lot of sense. So let's go through and let's show off this draft board real quick. I think a mistake that we made is, it sucks. I don't necessarily think that we could have done anything to avoid it in advance, but having to roster 3 quarterbacks here, I think does put us at a disadvantage for the amount of wide receivers that we were limited to. So if we go through, obviously we have receivers at the top that we very much like, but beyond that, we don't have that many roster spots allocated to the receiver position. So I don't love how this draft went. I think that we are fine with it. It's not as exciting as it possibly could have been, but also at the 110, it's one of the worst draft spots you can draft from. So I can't necessarily sit here and cry about it that much. And we're going to get another $250 draft going right after this, my dudes. We're going to get another $250 draft. So please make sure y'all go down there, drop that like. And if you want in our next $250 draft, go to Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you go through the link in the live chat or the description of the video and hop in that next $250 draft. If you are new to Underdog Fantasy, I definitely recommend you getting at least a $3, at least a $5 draft. I mean, just get a warm-up draft going in. Just make sure you are comfortable with the 30-second timer. Make sure you're comfortable with the platform. Obviously, you don't want to be entering in a $250 draft right away. So, yeah, we're going to get another one going, though. Gianfranco says, missing Sony Michel, big hurt. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, going through, if we would have replaced Jamal Williams with Sony Michel, I would have liked this team a whole lot more. I mean, just playing on a better offense, I would have liked that team a whole lot more if we actually got him instead. So now we have a little bit of a receiver run. Rashad Higgins, I really do like Rashad Higgins at the 2008. So cognition here at running back has Miles Sanders, James Robinson, Najee Harris, Ezekiel Elliott. So I guess maybe they had a plan going in. I really like the fact that they go running backs at the top and then just hammer in all these receivers afterwards. Now, I think the one problem is I don't necessarily like just them going out and actually let's switch this over to the league that we're about to be in. Okay, so there's one spot left in this draft. Now, guys, What I need from you right now, this is another $250 draft. We just had the draft at the 110. We have yet to have the 101 in the $250 draft. Please, for the love of God, go down there. Drop a like on the live stream. Get us some luck. Get us some run good happening this way. Get us Christian McCaffrey. Drop that like. Help us out. This is another $250 draft. We have one spot open, so of course we're going to be entering into this. It doesn't matter if we have to wait here for 3 or 4 minutes. I'm sure that's going to fill right away. Usually when there's only one spot left available, I mean, they go through and they fill pretty quickly, to be honest. Mark says, Garrett Dokes to the moon. Okay, wait. Drop that like. It's about to give us our pick. 101, 101, 101. Come on. It is what it is, boys. It is what it is. There's something I'm at least going to have an option to do at the 107 that we did not at the 110. The 107 is better than the 110. I will completely admit that. So yeah, let's go through and I can't, I'm very limited on what we can say here. I'm very limited on what we can say just because this is a live stream with $250 on the line. Okay, Jan coming out with the donation says, sending 101 vibes to Mason, the power of Devin Duvernay. My man, if we would have gotten the 101, I would have taken Duvernay for you. And I will say, I've actually taken Devin Duvernay to a decent amount of Best Ball Mania and the puppy drafts. Okay, but let's switch this over. So at the 107, okay, actually, let's real quick check out how many teams from the flock actually got in here. Okay, so Zigzag has been out in the live chat before. Uncle Drew has been out in the live chat before. Goliath, I believe we have seen him in a big dog draft. I don't necessarily know if he's just our big dog regular and he comes out here and he crushes in these leagues, or if he's actually in the live chat. I am not sure on that. Chase 79, same thing here. I know we have seen the name consistently. I don't know if he's just someone that crushes in the league. I don't know if he is someone that's in the live chat. Rummy Rams are very much a regular to the live stream. Okay, so we're having the draft next to a regular of the stream. So they probably know exactly what we're trying to accomplish here. Now we have exactly what you'd expect besides Alvin Kamara at the 102 by an experienced drafter. They go Alvin Kamara over Dalvin Cook. Very intriguing. Now Devonte Adams goes to the 104. Okay, so let's see where... Okay, now Zeke. Are we going to have to take Derrick Henry? For the love of God, don't make me take Derrick Henry. I probably won't. To be honest, even if Derrick Henry falls us at the 107. Okay, thank God. Okay, so now with the injuries that we have had to the tight end position, with not only Irv Smith, but I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't even know Evan Ingram suffered an injury a couple hours ago. So now that we know that as well, I mean, the tight end position's looking disgusting. Where in drafts previously, whenever we were having to sit here and draft Travis Kelce in the first, I was not that excited about it. But now I think that drafting Kelce in the first and just being able to load up on receivers later on, I'm actually very excited about Kelce in the first now that we think that other teams, like we saw Mark Andrews going in the fourth and stuff in the other drafts. I think that other teams are potentially going to have to reach on tight end. And we got stuck in a very tough spot having to roster 3 tight ends in the last draft. It was not something that I enjoyed doing whatsoever. So yeah, I'm actually going to be very happy to get Travis Kelce here. I'm going to be very happy to get Kelce. This is a $250 draft. Everybody who's just now coming into the live stream. This is a big money, high stakes league. So if I seem a little strung out, if I see a little stressed, you know exactly why. There's a lot on the line. There is a lot on the line. Okay. So now we have Tyreek Hill at the 109. Nothing is out of the ordinary here so far. Stephon Diggs at the 110. Yeah, I mean, everything is standard. Haven't really seen anything get a little too wild. I mean, I guess the only thing that is kind of weird is Alvin Kamara at the 102. And I don't really understand it either because you're not necessarily making that unique of a team when you draft Kamara because there are a lot of teams right next to you that are going to have access to similar players in the second and third round that are, I mean, you're not making a massive change here. Like if you would have taken someone like a Saquon Barkley at the 102, then yeah, it's not necessarily as good of a player, but at least you're building a unique team. At least you're accomplishing something. I don't necessarily know what you're trying to accomplish when you take a Kamara at the 102. Okay, so now we have Calvin Ridley at the 111. Peter says, I joined a $10 draft with you, Mason. I wouldn't put down $250 to try to battle it out against you, though. Yeah, my dudes, we're going to get a lot of $10 drafts going. We're going to get a lot of other drafts going. Maybe not in this live stream. just because right now Underdog Fantasy is going through and they are doing the giveaway for that $60,000 chain. I don't necessarily know if they're doing it based on how many teams you enter right now. That should have been something I probably clarified, but at least we know that we're going to be in the running for the $60,000 chain since we entered into a draft tonight. And also, like I said, I don't like the reason Underdog is giving away like the $60,000 chain and stuff is they don't think it's going to fill either. At least that's my read on the situation. I probably should not be saying this, so I should probably walk that back. But I'd imagine if they're doing like a $60,000 chain giveaway, that they may not necessarily think it's going to fill either. So I think we want to be going out there. I think we want to be firing some of these teams in because we may end up having to just go. Yeah, we may be able to get more money in this league pot, to be honest. I think that there's going to be an overlay with this contest. So I want as many teams in the big dog as possible. I guess Najee Harris at the 202, Austin Eckler at the 201. So Najee definitely climbing in drafts. I will admit, Najee Harris, I have been seeing him go earlier and earlier and earlier. Okay, I just saw a clip on Twitter that was, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't be watching this at all. It just a clip crossed me, and it was of a Kyle Pitts reception, and like Atlanta tweeted out, get used to this. And okay, we're going to go with, I'm choosing between Metcalf or, this room doesn't necessarily look like they're going to lean that heavy receiver. So we're actually going to go with the Nick Chubb. Like I said, I mean, Nick Chubb, when he's going in the middle, when he's going at the end of the first round in casual leagues, I think is a horrible pick there. But to start a draft, Kelsey and Nick Chubb, and we're going to be able to go thin at tight end and thin at running back as well and get extra wide receiver slots coming in. Yeah, we're going to go Nick Chubb at the 206. Now, what I think this does when we draft Nick Chubb at the 206 is I think it limits us in that we can't be drafting Mahomes in the fourth. Like, I know, actually, we may be able to. I don't know. This is something that I've had such a hard time figuring. It doesn't matter how many drafts I enter. It doesn't matter how many leagues I have drafted Travis Kelce in. Something that I have not necessarily been able to figure out is, can we afford drafting Kelce in the first and Mahomes in the fourth without it just completely tanking what we're doing in the rest of the league? I mean, like, it's just so hard to catch back up at receiver and running back whenever we take a Mahomes in the fourth, especially at receiver, because we know round 4 is the round of the receiver. But I'm honestly confident in these $250 drafts, when we have seen time and time again that Mahomes is falling to this range, that we are going to have the option to take a Patrick Mahomes in the 4th round. So I'm just kind of mentally preparing myself right now and trying to figure out, can we afford to punt running back and receiver to a point where we're only coming away with one running back and one receiver through the first 4 rounds of the draft? I don't necessarily know that answer, to be honest. Now we have George Kittle going at the 210. You actually usually saw George Kittle falling to like the 304 and the 305 in the drafts previously before the injury to like an Irv Smith and then also Evan Ingram. So I guess that, yeah, this is changing the tight end landscape. I guess you are going to be expecting tight ends to go earlier and earlier in these drafts. Darren Waller also at the 208. That's something that you're not used to seeing either. So I guess that we do need to be making the adjustment. These tight ends are going to go earlier and earlier. When we take Mahomes in the 4th, yeah, we have the potential to just go through and to just punt quarterback until one of the last rounds like we're going to do with the Kelce. Like, I would be completely fine getting someone like an Zach Ertz at the very end of the draft. I'd be completely fine getting someone like a Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback at the end of the draft when we have Mahomes in the 4th. And I know we keep on talking about this. We're not even there right now, but it's something that it's weighing me down. JN coming out says, Adonta leading in rushing. Oh my God. Woo. Okay, let me look this up. Let me look up the Falcons stats right now. Donta Foreman leading the team in rushing. Hopefully he makes the team. Maybe we'll go through and just throw him in. Not a $250 draft, but with just a $5 draft, a $10 draft, maybe we'll throw him in as one of our last picks. Let me look up the Falcons score. Saram coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says, my man, a man like Mason, hope all is well, brother. Are you still ranking these lads in the following orders? Saquon, Zeke, Aaron Jones, Eckler, and Jonathan Taylor. Actually, I believe we have moved Jonathan Taylor ahead of Austin Eckler. I can pull that up and double check for you right now, however. So let me see what we're going to be doing in this round previously. Jan, you got us that excited for 4 carries and 25 rushing yards with not a single reception. Jan, how dare you? How dare you? Okay, so James Robinson goes to the 306. Okay, so let's pull this up, and you better believe we're bringing in a receiver. I'm very happy to see Amari Cooper fell to us. I think that's like best case scenario, and seeing that Amari Cooper fell to us, honestly, I think it does kind of confirm our decision in deciding to pass on to DK Metcalf in the second round and instead going with a Nick Chubb. So I'm happy that we went with the Chubb when we get Amari at the 307. Let me really quickly pull this up real quick in terms of our official rankings in the order that we're going to have those running backs. But since we got the positive news on Carson Wentz, I believe we actually moved Jonathan Taylor into the first round ahead of Austin Eckler in a PPR format, even though I know Eckler is going to be running behind a great offensive line compared to what he had last year. Okay, so yeah, we actually have Jonathan Taylor 1 pick before Austin Eckler. We have Jonathan Taylor as our running back 8, Austin Eckler as our running back 9. We have Aaron Jones as running back 7 as well. And then we actually have Saquon Barkley at running back 4 and Zeke at running back 5. Now, keep in mind that's a full PPR format. If you're playing in a half PPR instead, I think that you prefer Ezekiel Elliott over Saquon Barkley. But a big thing with Barkley is he can have 7 targets a game, which we have seen previously. And I don't necessarily think we have that same type of ceiling within Ezekiel Elliott for a PPR league. Okay, so now we have some receivers going directly after this. We have Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, DJ Moore. And we're just hoping that we get another guy in this tier falling back to us because, I mean, I guess when we get Amari, maybe we're fine going Mahomes in the 4th. This is something that I don't even know how we would study this. Like, I don't even know how we would try to find a correct answer here. And guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell next to the subscribe button. That way you come out to these live streams. We live stream every single night, real money fantasy drafts. Now, this is a $250 draft, but we do a lot of $10 drafts. I mean, we get a lot of chances for y'all to come out here and join us in these leagues. So make sure you subscribe, and I promise you're going to have a lot of chances to come out here and play with us. Now, Godwin goes to the 312. Y'all know I would have loved to get Chris Godwin, but that's just not realistic. It's not realistic to be able to see Chris Godwin making it back to the middle of the 4th. Julio Jones of the 401. Who the hell is Chris Carson goes to the 402? Okay, so now I believe Zigzag, did he take Hill? No, who took Tyreek Hill there? Okay, so Goliath is the team that actually ended up taking Tyreek Hill at the 108. So maybe he goes Tyreek, and we're actually going to... No, I'm sorry. Maybe he goes Mahomes, and we don't have to make the hard decision. I'm honestly kind of hoping he goes Mahomes, and we don't have to necessarily make that decision of taking him at the 406. Come on, Goliath. Pull the trigger. He goes David Montgomery. That's honestly a surprise. I was not expecting him to go David Montgomery there. Now, Kyle Pitts goes to the 405. Oh my God, are we going to do this again? Honestly, considering the fact that this is... Keep in mind, I'm going to be playing in like 250 fantasy drafts this year. I think we honestly have to mix up our exposures. I know we did this in the last draft, but Mike Evans has an ADP 10 picks before this. Mike Evans usually goes in about this range right here, the 307, the 308, the 309. I think there are going to be very few teams with this combination of players. So yeah, we're going to go Amari Cooper, Mike Evans. We're going to pass on Mahomes. If it was going to be down between T. Higgins or Patrick Mahomes, I honestly think we go Mahomes. But between Mike Evans and Mahomes, I think we have to go Evans. Let me know what you are thinking about that. That was a decision that I was honestly dreading. The worst thing ever is if we actually had Mike Evans and then also Mike Evans going here. And then we had also Mahomes that we were going to have to consider between like a Kyle. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just all out of whack. Now we have Adam Thielen at the 408. Let's see where Chase goes. Okay, so he goes 3 receivers in a row. Honestly, I think that's not necessarily the worst decision. He goes Chase Claypool to 409. Okay, so we have some teams building heavier receiver right here. Some teams building heavier receiver. Now, Uncle Benji coming out 3 running backs at the very top. Maybe this is another build where we see some running backs at the top and then you go very thin and you just attack the position with quantity at receiver. Gian Franco says, bro, Mike Evans, a fanboy. Yeah. I back-to-back drafts, we just invested $500 into Mike Evans. That does not feel that good, my dudes. That does not feel that good. I will admit that. Now, Saram coming out with the donation says, also in a 10 PPR at 7, if I were to take a Devonte Adams in the first, which running back in the second do you think would balance out the team and provide the best upside? Honestly, I know you're going to hate this call. So if you're going to go with a Devonte Adams at 7, I think, actually, no, I'm sorry. I did not see that this is a 10-team league, Saram. Let me go back up to this and see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you didn't tell us that before. So in a 10-man format, actually, we need to be devaluing the wide receiver position. This is something that we talked about in that draft guide. But just given the fact that there are going to be more options available on the waiver wire, I think we actually need to be devaluing the wide receiver position in a 10-man league. And instead, we're going to go with the Travis Kelce. If you're playing in a league where it's a 10-man league and it's only starting 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex, I promise you we laid out exactly in our 2021 fantasy football draft guide, but in that exact format, Kelce provides you a ridiculous advantage because you're going to be able to find just so many depth receivers and running backs later on that you're not going to be able to have that same luxury at tight end, and you're not having the same opportunity cost that you would at the other positions versus a 12 or a 14-man league. So in that specific format, I'm actually going to be going with a Travis Kelce at the 107. Now, however, if this is a league where you start 3 receivers or if you have 2 flex spots, there I'm completely fine going to Devonte Adams. And then in the second round, you're going to be looking at Nick Chubb. If he falls, doubt he falls though. So instead, probably a Joe Mixon. Okay, so now that we're going to be back on the clock, yeah, I think we just do it, honestly. We just go Miles Sanders. I have Miles Sanders in so many spots, and I'm a little worried that we're maybe about to get a little overweight to Miles Sanders. But getting him at the 507, I think that we just have to. I think that we have to go Miles Sanders. This makes me very happy about our decision to go with the Mike Evans instead of Mahomes, though. This makes me very happy with our decision to go with the Mike Evans instead. Just because, I mean, I'm not going to be... We took Odell over here whenever we were drafting at the 510, but that was a little bit of a different context. So yeah, I think that when we would have the option to go with the Miles Sanders, that's just going to be the pick we do. We're going to be able to save more roster spots to go with more receivers overall on this team. But let's get Miles Sanders at the 507. Okay, so now let's go through. Now, Mike Davis at the 509. Yeah, Mike Davis. Literally, I have Mike Davis in like no leagues right now. If I pull this up real quick, my underdog exposures. So on Underdog Fantasy, right now, I have drafted in a total of 145 leagues. Actually, after this one, it's going to be 146. And if I look up how many leagues I have drafted Mike Davis in, I drafted Mike Davis in 2.9% of leagues. Very few. Very few. TJ Hawkinson at the 511. It's kind of funny to see that these other tight ends are getting pushed up the draft board, and you actually have TJ Hawkinson and Mark Andrews going in a similar range to what they're used to. So I'm sure that the teams that get a TJ Hawkinson, a Mark Andrews, they're going to be very excited about those selections. Jan was saying, Mason, check your DMs. I'll pull that up right now, my dude. So Rom coming out says, cheers, bro. As always, thank you very much. Also embarrassing, I know, but how do I get the draft guide? My man, thank you so much, of course, for supporting the channel. And the number one way to get the draft guide, you can get the draft guide on Patreon, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a lot cheaper and you're going to get a lot more enjoyment out of it if you just go over and if you just go to Underdog Fantasy, which is where we live draft every single night, make a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. That way you get $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You get our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. To go along with this, you actually get our 2021 rankings, our 2021 tiers. And all you need to do is after you make that $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, the link is going to be in the description of the live stream. It's also going to be in the live chat right now. You just have to go shoot me a DM literally anywhere. Shoot me a DM on Discord. You shoot me a DM on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever, on Patreon. And literally, if you don't have social media, that's completely fine. In the description of the video, there's literally a link where you can just shoot. You can click that link. You join our fantasy football group chat like that. Not trying to get you signed up for a mailing list or anything. You don't need to plug in any information. You just choose a little nickname that you want. And then you can shoot me a DM directly from there and just say, Mason, listen here, you bum. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of your crap. Tired of you live streaming every night. Just give me the draft guide so I don't have to listen to your voice anymore. I use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy and send me the email that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with. And I'd be very happy to get that out for you. Now, We are clearly going to be going with a receiver with this next selection. So let's pull this up. Odell goes at the 604. Michael Gallup goes. Okay, so honestly, we're just going to go Deebo Samuel. We're going to go Deebo Samuel here. Goes for a big game. I don't really care about that. Let's go with Deebo Samuel as our wide receiver 3. So far on this team, we have Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders at running back. At receiver, we have Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel. And at tight end, we do have Travis Kelce. So we have some intriguing stacks that we can go for later on. We have a Dak Prescott, we have a Tom Brady, and we have our guy, Trey Lance. Y'all know how much I love Trey Lance in fantasy. Now, Tyler Boyd does go at the 607. Let's put this down. We're probably going to see a big wide receiver run right here. I mean, it's already kind of happening. Ricky says, I just used promo code FLOCK. My man, thank you so much. You don't know how much that helps this channel when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. That is massive. Thank you, my dude. Okay, so let's pull this down. Courtland Sutton. So we have that wide receiver run happening right now. And we're honestly kind of hoping that we get another receiver making it back to us. I think we made the correct decision in going with the Miles Sanders at the 507, but even though there are some running backs that we will like with their names in the 7th round, just pressing the button on them is probably going to be pretty hard, especially when we see that there are multiple teams here that are kind of ignoring the running back position and they're soaking up the wide receiver value currently. Like if we go through, you actually have Chase Adams, AJ Brown, Allen Robinson, Chase Claypool, Devonta Smith at receiver. And then only running back Josh Jacobs. This team only has Ezekiel Elliott. So I'm sure that there are going to be some running backs that we really like falling to us as values later on. So let me know. Do y'all think I should have taken DK Metcalf for Nick Chubb in the 2nd round? Let me know what y'all think about. Okay, so let's pull this back up. Antonio Brown goes at the 610. Rory coming out, subscribing to the channel. Thank you, my dude. Thank you. Antonio Brown. Okay, let me look up JN's DM real quick. Okay, Jan, I don't know what you're talking about here. I'm so lost. Okay, so Gus Edwards. Okay. Thank you, Jan. We should have gone Gus Edwards at the 606. That's what Jan was trying to get us to do. You're right, my man. You're right. I understand. Like we said earlier, I think Gus Edwards is a little less appealing in this format, considering that other teams were able to get him significantly later on. But still in the middle of the 6th round, with an opportunity cost is like player like Deebo Samuel, we should have gone Gus Edwards at the 606. It doesn't matter that we were going to see that wide receiver run happen. It doesn't matter the running backs that we were going to have available to us in the 7th round. You are right. That's where we should have gone. Thank you, my man. Okay, so Juju at the 701, Brandon Cooks at the 702. So I guess you do have a ton of these receivers going off. Trey Sermon at the 703. Y'all know who we're going to be looking at in the 7th round. Everybody knows at this point. Let's pull up this draft board in terms of the players that are available. Kareem Hunt goes to the 704. So our guy is no longer available, sadly. I'd imagine that actually Rummy Rams, I don't think, they're not going to go with Russell Wilson. They maybe go with Russell Wilson here, but they took a DK Metcalf in the 2nd round. So I'd imagine that actually Russell Wilson goes to the 705 anyway, to a team that didn't take Tyler Lockett either. So I think we actually continue to bring in receiver value. We're going to bring in Mike Williams here. So this could also set us up with Justin Herbert a little later on. We saw Justin Herbert fall to a ridiculous range in the last draft. Yeah, so let's get Mike Williams at the 707. As someone that can provide us a lot of spike weeks, we know he has an incredibly high average depth of target. So let's bring in Mike Williams. Then we have Jalen Waddle going at the 708. Jalen Waddle. Okay, so I'm assuming we still get more receivers going off. Let me show you all the entire draft board really quick. So I think that even though we've gone with 4 wide receivers in the last 5 rounds, we probably still need to be drafting them, to be honest, just because we've already showed in the last draft that they're going to get soaked up so fast and you're going to be looking at disgusting options at the position. So now Myles Gaskin does go at the 709. Catalina Wine Mixer says, how do I get in a draft with you, bro? My man, we're going to be drafting every single night until the season. So all you have to do is make sure you're subscribed, come out here. And what we do is, so tonight's a little different because of the giveaway that Underdog is doing, where they're giving away that $60,000 chain as a random giveaway for anybody who enters into the Big Dog contest in the past 3 days. It's going to be like a 300 person entry. I'd imagine there are going to be like 300 people in the pool based on what JN sent me. I could be easily wrong on that. I'm kind of just going out there and speculating. So the past 2 drafts we have done have been in that $250 buy-in. Now, after this, we're probably going to get in some more $10 drafts. So what we're going to do is after this, you'll see me send out a private link in the live chat where I'll say $10 draft here, and then it'll be a link. You click that link, you're in our private draft. So the only drafts that we're going to be doing that are going to be through the public lobby are the $250 Big Dog drafts, where I'll specify and I'll just verbalize out loud exactly when we're doing those. Okay, so now Michael Thomas at the 801. Really would have loved having Michael Thomas make it to us in the middle of the 8th round. So now let's switch this back over. Damian Harris goes to the 802. Raheem Mostert at the 803. Okay, so we're not going to consider running back here. I've been having both Nick Chubb and Miles Sanders. I think we're completely fine. We don't need a quote-unquote reach on a Logan Thomas, considering the fact that we have a Travis Kelce. So we're just going to continue to draft receiver. Jarvis Landry goes. Okay, so we are on the clock. I actually think we're probably going to go with the Darnell Mooney here. I don't love it. He's someone that I just looked up our exposures. We don't have him in that many leagues. We're going to go Darnell. He's been trending up in ADP while Curtis Samuel's been trending down. We're going to go Darnell Mooney as our wide receiver 5. Not someone I'm drafting very often. Not someone I'm drafting very often at all. Let me see how many leagues I've actually drafted Darnell Mooney in so far, just to give you all that percentage. Yeah, I've drafted him in 5.0% of leagues. Michael Pittman goes to the 807. Kieran says, where would you be happy to draft Gus Edwards? In a regular format, I can actually pull up my updated rankings right now. Anybody that's on Patreon or anybody that has used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy should have my updated rankings with the Gus Edwards. Just massive jump up. So let me pull this up really quick. Now, Aaron Rodgers does go at the 808 to the same team that took Russell Wilson. I believe they also got Devonte Adams. They did not get Devonte Adams. So they go with an unstacked Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Don't love the idea of that. Chase brings in A.J. Dillon. So I actually moved up Gus Edwards to where now I would be comfortable drafting him in the 4th round in a regular league. Now, this is a slightly different league where wide receiver is going to be valued a little bit more because it's best ball and because you have to start 3 on a week-to-week basis. Also, I think Gus Edwards is a little less valuable in this exact tournament setting just because some other teams that are going to be entered into the large field tournament at the very end got Gus Edwards at a cheaper price, so I don't want to be doubled up with those teams and they're crushing me elsewhere on the roster. Peter says, Pittman with T.Y. Hilton hurt. I actually should have probably considered... You're right. I should have considered bumping up Michael Pittman considering the T.Y. Hilton injury. You are completely right on that. That was an oversight by me. That was something I should have considered and I didn't. Thank you so much for going out here and kind of putting me in my place. Now Curtis Samuel goes to the 912. I just kind of want receivers making it back to us. Let's pull this back over. Okay, so Tyler Higbee goes to the 901. Yeah, so we saw Tyler Higbee fall to the end of the 9th in the last draft that we did. This goes back to just saying that the overall tight end position is barren now that we've had injuries to Irv Smith, Adam Troutman, and Evan Ingram. Later on, it's going to be very gross. So maybe at the beginning of drafts, you need to be pushing them up your draft board just slightly. You have Elijah Moore going. Okay, I think there's a clear name that I want here. I can't say anything out loud just because we are about to be on the clock. So far, we do not have a quarterback on this team, obviously, and Tom Brady would make the stack in here with a Mike Evans. At this point, considering the quarterbacks that we can get later on in the draft, I think we are possibly fine on avoiding the quarterback position. Zach Moss goes at the 905, so really the last running back in this tier. When you have Michael Carter, he needs to be falling drastically. You can't be considering taking him here, in my opinion. The last guy in the tier is going to be a Ronald Jones, but instead we're going to get Marvin Jones coming in. Yeah, Marvin Jones, I think, is a clear pick here as our wide receiver 7 in this format. Yeah, if I can count correctly. No, our wide receiver 6. So far our team here is Kelsey, Chubb, Amari, Evans, Sanders, Debo, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, and Marvin Jones. So Michael Carter goes to the pick directly after us. Yeah, so I'm honestly excited to see Michael Carter go in that range. I don't necessarily think you can consider him. I don't think you can consider Michael Carter there. Noah Fant goes to the 909. We're hoping to see some tight ends go off the board soon because I think a mistake that we have made previously is even if we think that a tight end's a great value, it's really hard for me to draft them on a Kelsey team. Going and drafting him on a Kelsey team is just really bad. Caden says, how do you watch every game without Sunday Ticket? Please help. I don't think you can watch every game without Sunday Ticket, my dude. Unless you're smart with computers, which I am not. Okay, so Devonte Parker goes to the 9-10. We do want some running back value falling to us in like the 11th, 12th rounds. We are fine when we have a Nick Chubb and a Miles Sanders at the top of the draft to go pretty thin at running back, however. And we have passed 350 likes on this live stream. Thank you, everybody who's gone down there, dropped a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. Thank you so much, everybody. Marquez Callaway at the 9-11. Do y'all prefer Marvin Jones or Marquez Callaway? Honestly, I think I honestly prefer a Marvin Jones. Russell Gage at the 9-12. Okay, come on. Honestly, I kind of want some receivers falling to us. So if we pull it up, yeah. So I'm glad we decided not to go with a quarterback in the last round. Instead, we got a receiver. So yeah, we got Marvin Jones, and we've seen 4 receivers go off the board since then, and we have yet to see a quarterback get drafted. So it's definitely going to be advantageous for us. Now, what we're hoping to see is we're hoping to get these tight ends off the board, because these tight ends still being available kind of messes things up for us. In that, deep down I want to get one. I can't, but deep down I want to. Matthew Stafford goes to the 10-02. Tom Brady goes at the 10-04. Brady would have been the quarterback that we wanted. We don't have any other stacks with these quarterbacks that are currently available. So, oh my God. We just get soaked up. Now I think we just kind of have to go Ronald Jones. Yeah, we're just going to go Ronald Jones here as our running back 3. That was a horrendous turn of events. I wanted Ruggs. I wanted Brady. Honestly, possibly a Terrace Marshall. But we're going to get Ronald Jones in the 10th round. Let me go through and show off this team for anybody just now coming into the live stream. So we drafted at the 107. We have Kelsey at tight end. At running back, we have Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, and Ronald Jones. And we have just slammed a receiver. Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, and Marvin Jones trying to chase those spike weeks. So yeah, we've slammed receiver. We are elite at tight end. I think I don't want to say good at running back, but we're at least average at running back. And I think we're pretty good at receiver as well. I know mathematically speaking, like if you look at projections and stuff, getting Kelsey on your team is an elite advantage. It's just so hard to get a Kelsey team and then end up liking how it looks after the draft. Now you have young, duck-nated. I have no idea what this team is. Taking Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts inside the top 10 rounds. This is a punt. This has to be a punt. Let's go through and let's look at their team, where this is a team that at the 105 went Ezekiel Elliott. So they're 2 running backs so far are Zeke and Zach Moss. They have Darren Waller at tight end. Obviously, love the tight end situation. But at receiver, they have Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen, Robbie Anderson, Courtland Sutton. That's going to be brutal to come back from. With the receivers that are currently available, I think that's going to be so hard to come back from. Just what exactly are you getting by taking Jalen Hurts here in a league where you can't trade him when you already have Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers? That has to be a punt. That has to be a really bad decision. Okay, now that we're back up. Okay, so guys, reminder. I know I am annoying when I say this, but keep in mind, the reason I'm saying this so often is I want Underdog Fantasy to pay to fly some of y'all down to Tampa, Florida, to go to a Tampa Bay Bucks game with me, to go to the Florida Flock meetup. I want to hit that 10,000 sign-up goal on Underdog Fantasy. We have had 100,000 views in the past 48 hours. This should be very easy to do. When you sign up for Underdog Fantasy, you obviously enter that contest to get flown to Tampa, Florida to go to that Bucks game with me. You also get $25 added to your account with promo code FLOCK. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, hundreds of pages of information, our 2021 rankings and tiers. People would be selling that package for like $90. And I'm saying you can have it because this great partnership and Underdog sponsoring it for just a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy, and you get paid $25 to do so. So make sure you take advantage of that. And Sony Michel going here kind of sucks. Now, do we take Justin Fields? So with Justin Fields here, he would stack. He would stack with the Darnell Mooney, but considering all the other players that we actually have available to us at quarterback later on, like with so many more quarterbacks have entered into the player pool, instead we're going to go Tony Pollard. We're going to get our fourth running back in here, Tony Pollard. I mean, if Zeke were to go down, obviously Tony Pollard has league-breaking upside. So we're going to go Pollard there at the 1107 over Justin Fields. I know a lot of people will want to tell me how bad that pick is. Justin Fields, I have quietly been fading him and fading him and fading him. I've drafted Justin Fields in 1.4% of my fantasy drafts. Y'all know I'm a Trey Lance guy. I'm not a Justin Fields guy. We've been fading Justin Fields. We're going to get Tony Pollard there. Okay, so now we have Justin Fields going at the 1109. Okay, Peter says, Mason, I haven't heard who your favorite NFL team is. So I have not had a favorite NFL team for a very long time. Like the last time I rooted for an NFL team was with the Houston Texans back when they had Matt Schaub and Andre Johnson. But honestly, considering I just moved to Tampa this year and talking to some people around Tampa, apparently when the Bucks won the Super Bowl last season, like the entire city was crazy to be in and it was extremely fun. So this may be the first year in a while that I actually root for a team, and I may be rooting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season. Obviously, I know it looks like I'm just jumping on and being the bandwagon. Maybe you can say I moved to Tampa to be a bandwagon. I don't know, but considering I'm here in the city, I think might as well root for him. Might as well root for him. Okay, so now we have Leonard Fournette going at the 11-11, Nyheim Hines at the 11-08. I think, didn't we get Nyheim Hines in like the 13th round in the last draft? I think we got Hines in the 13th. Does make me excited that we ended up taking Tony Pollard there at the 11-07. Okay, let's go through. Let's show off this draft board really quick for anybody who's just now coming into the live stream. Really like that Kenyon Drake selection at the 11-12. Let's go through and let's show this off. Trevor Lawrence at the 12-01. Surprised to see Lawrence there. I guess people just see one preseason game and they forget everything that's happened. Trust me, I like Trevor Lawrence. Where we've been fading Justin Fields, I mean, I've actually been drafting Trevor Lawrence at a discount compared to Justin Fields for a very long time. That's a big reason why I'm never drafting Justin Fields, is just because I'm drafting Trevor Lawrence everywhere else. I mean, I have Trevor Lawrence in close to 12% of my fantasy drafts, whereas we have Justin Fields in 1%. I mean, just a night and day difference. I think Trevor Lawrence is a significantly better value. He was going like 2 rounds after Justin Fields before today, but I guess he's going to be making that decision. Okay. So now I'll switch this over to a Tagovailoa at the 12-03. So Irv Smith no longer available. Gerald Everett, intriguing to say the least. Intriguing to say the least. I think we're going to go with our 5th running back here and probably be done at the running back position. We're going to go Jamal Williams. This is going to be back-to-back drafts where we took Jamal Williams. I just not a massive fan of the receivers in this range. I do think that Gerald Everett, considering the tight end landscape, Gerald Everett is very appealing here. But when we get Jamal Williams, we're going to be done at 5 running backs. We're only going to be drafting 2 tight ends in this format, and we can actually load up on 3 QBs, and then the rest are going to be receivers. So yeah, we just went 3 running backs in a row with Ronald Jones, Tony Pollard, and Jamal Williams. But opportunity cost, in my opinion, is actually going to be very low considering the wide receivers that you actually had going in this range. So now we can actually just avoid the nasty running backs later on in the draft when we go through and we get 3 of these running backs. So yeah, I'm not going to say that I think it's 100% correct. If you have an opinion that you feel confident about, I'm very open to being wrong on taking a Jamal Williams over there, over a Jalen Reagor, and over a Gabriel Davis. But Jamal Williams is going to be my guy right there. Okay, Jordan says, dude, what have I done to the Dynasty Football Gods? On my best team, I have Akers, Etienne, Dobbins, and Evan Ingram. That is brutal, my man. I mean, you go from being a bona fide contender to all of a sudden, being a team that has to pack it in and turn into a rebuilder before the season even starts. That is disgusting, my dude. That is disgusting. Okay, so Jalen Reagor, Marquez Valdez-Scantling at receiver at this turn, Tyrell Williams at the 12-12. Okay, so Jayan says he's in another big dog, and he says that his draft mates are horrible in the other big dog that he is in. These guys here, I think that these guys are pretty good. The only team that I'm looking at as a complete punt is this team here. I think this team was just a donation to the league pot, to be honest. 3 quarterbacks in this range. The only receivers that they have so far are Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen, Robbie Anderson, Cortland Sutton. I think it's going to be very hard to come back from that. Let's look at this team, which is the only guy with a shield in this draft so far, where they have Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Clyde Lair, Gus Edwards at running back. So this team's going to be disgusting. They get Mahomes in the 5th. I can almost guarantee that this is going to be a team that from here on out probably exclusively drafts wide receiver. They're already kind of shaping up to do that. So that's going to be a very scary team. If they can just go through and get an insane amount of receivers with that build, it's going to be a very good roster. Okay. Devin Singletary at the 1304. Now you have both injured tight ends. You have 3 injured players at the top ADP, of course. Okay, so now I'm honestly not going to consider quarterback in this range. There are so many quarterbacks that I think we could be looking at later on in the draft. I guess you have Jameson Crowder. I think we're just going to go AJ Green here. Let's just take AJ Green. We're just looking for receivers that are going to be seeing snaps. I don't think we have to reach on a quarterback in this range. We don't necessarily have a potential stack with any of these 3 quarterback options. I wouldn't be looking at a Ryan Fitzmagic anytime soon regardless. So let's go AJ Green. Someone's going to be running a lot of routes for a very good offense. Got a lot of targets last year. Was very inefficient with his targets. But yeah, hopefully he just takes a small step forward this year. And we'll see if he can pay off after Jamison Crowder and after Paris Campbell. But I really like this pick of Devin Singletary in this round. Devin Singletary at the 1304, I'm a fan of. Now Latavius Murray at the 1308. Baker Mayfield at the 1309. Okay, come on. Get us some receivers coming back. So Watkins, obviously, literally a receiver that I was drafting. Let me look up how many leagues I've drafted T.Y. Hilton in. 13.6% of drafts. Oh my God. Like, I feel like literally the fantasy football gods have come down and they have punished us for doing God knows what. I don't know what I've been doing in real life that I need punishment for. But all of a sudden, it's going to be very hard for us to get profitable in 2021. I mean, I may be waving the white flag before the season even starts. After crushing last year, this may be a year where our guys, Akers, ETN, other players that we were drafting a lot, Irv Smith, Adam Troutman, T.Y. Hilton, they're going down. They're going down. Okay, so now we have Amari St. Brown at the 13-12. Ryan Fitzmagic at the 14-01. So there are a couple teams that have decided to draft 3 quarterbacks here. Like Goliath has 3 quarterbacks. At running back, they have Myles Gaskin, Mike Davis, David Montgomery. At receiver, they have Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Lockett, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Traequan Smith, and they have Noah Fant at tight end. There are a few teams that are looking like they're probably going to be in a tough spot at tight end. I mean, here, Zigzag is a team that does not have a single one. So, yeah, this is going to be intriguing with how it develops. Jameis Winston at the 14-02. What is going on with these quarterbacks? How is Winston going at the 14-02? Who did this team take to draft Winston there? They have Marquez Callaway. You're taking Winston because you have Marquez Callaway. You're having a. I do not agree on that with that draft pick at all. You could have gotten Winston at like the 15-11, wherever you were drafting. KJ Hamler at the 14. Oh my God. You passed on KJ Hamler to get Jameis Winston. Passed on Cole Kmet to get Jameis Winston. Honestly, I think that I'm reluctant to pull it up right now just because obviously I don't want anybody to snipe us. This team has 5 running backs already. They go Cole Kmet. Thank God. I didn't want to have to draft Cole Kmet here. Yeah, so we're going to go Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb's going to be a very easy pick for me. Just continue to get wide receivers that are going to be seeing targets, running routes. The next guy's going to be Randall Cobb. Next on the list. Let's just keep on moving it down. We got 6 more rounds to get 1 more tight end to go out there and get 3 quarterbacks and then 3 more receivers. Receivers are going to dry up very soon from here. So I think getting Randall Cobb is going to be a no-brainer. Hopefully we get more running backs off the board. But when we have 5 guys already on this team, maybe we get a running back at the very end. But honestly, I don't necessarily think we need to reach on one. Okay. So Rashad Perriman goes to the 14-08. Honestly, Rashad Perriman was someone I was drafting previously, but I think just now in Detroit, I think we were a little too confident to project him for that kind of volume. Or I think we do have to move Rashad Perriman down from this 14th round. I don't think he deserves in this same tier with the Randall Cobb, Damian Brown, and KJ Hamler. Gio goes to the 14-09. I do like these running backs, but the problem is, I mean, we already spent enough with the position. Josh Palmer at the 14-10. And guys, we passed 32,000 subscribers on the channel yesterday. Thank you, everybody, going down there and dropping those likes and subscribing to the channel. I mean, we passed like 30,000, like just like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe last week. I don't even know. It's just been growing so fast. J.D. McKissick at the 14-12. This is a lot later than where he usually goes. Let's see where Shambles has done so far in this draft. So he drafted from the 101. So far at running back, he has CMC, Daryl. Oh my God, I do not like Daryl Henderson here. There are multiple running backs in this range that I prefer over Daryl Henderson. Not a fan of that. Then you have Melvin Gordon at the 10-12. J.D. McKissick at the 14-12. So it's a good running back room because it's anchored down by CMC. And then at receiver, you have Jefferson, Lamb, Judy, Juju, Curtis Samuel, Cole Beasley, Tyrell Williams. It's not the best wide receiver room. Dak to stack with CeeDee Lamb. Honestly, considering it's a CMC team, not my favorite. Not my favorite. Okay. So now we can't be considering drafting any of these players. All injured guys. Jared Cook, possibly. But honestly, I think that we need to, at some point, consider bringing in some quarterbacks. Because right now, the receivers are pretty gross. So let's just go over, and now that we don't have access to those same level receivers, let's switch this over, see if there are any guys in this range that provide us any stacks with the players that we have selected so far. So honestly, no. We don't have a single stack available to us. We're going to be drafting 3 QBs, so a stack doesn't matter that much. So let's take Zach Wilson as our quarterback 1 right now. Scroll this back down. And then, okay, Ryan coming out with a donation says, thanks for being you, brother. My man, thank you so much for just coming out, hanging out with us in the live stream every night. I mean, the fact that y'all just come out and are willing to hang out with me in the live stream, y'all have no idea how happy that makes me. I mean, I have a ton of fun in these live streams because even if I did not have a fantasy football channel, I would be drafting in fantasy drafts every single night regardless. So the fact that I get to come out here and hang out with all of y'all and do it at the same time, so I just get to live my regular life and hang out with y'all, it makes such a big difference. So thank you, everybody, for coming out to these streams. I promise you, I appreciate y'all hanging out in the chat with me. And Jordan says, Mason, get Anthony first year, LOL. I'm going to try to stop myself. In the last draft, I think we panicked. We'll try to stop ourselves in this one. Okay, so Stevenson, then James White. But when we get Travis Kelce, I'm literally going to be fine if we just get Zach Ertz at one of the last rounds. God, Ramondre Stevenson. Daniel Jones at the 15-11. So that's going to be, how many quarterbacks is Vols drafted? Because remember, this is the team that took Winston in the last round. So they took Matthew Stafford at the 10-02 as well. So they've drafted 3 QBs. I think we're the only team. Actually, no, Chase only has 1 quarterback as well. He took Ryan Tannehill. And Shambles only has 1 quarterback, and he took Dak Prescott. So there are 3 teams so far, including ourselves, with only 1 QB. Now, of course, our quarterback is the worst out of those 3 teams. And we do have Zach Wilson here. Okay, so let's switch this back over. And my Lord, our tight end's available. So maybe this is the round that we actually go out there and draft that tight end. Yeah, this is probably the round. And also, real quick, guys, I was talking about my bad injury luck. Let's pull up how many leagues. Look at how many leagues we have Evan Ingram in. We have Evan Ingram in 13.6% of leagues with a $435 buy-in total. I would be ecstatic to break even so far. It's not even week 1, and I'm waving in that towel. God, the past few weeks have been rough. This has been like the worst preseason I think we've ever had, at least for my own teams. So Jared Cook goes. So I guess now we are no longer going out there and considering drafting a tight end. I know people were messing with us, saying to go with an Anthony Firkser. Obviously, I don't think we can do that on this team. Instead, I think we just go with a Sam Darnold at QB. So let's bring him in here at the 1606. We are going to be drafting 3 quarterbacks with this team. So let's bring in Sam Darnold. This is a team that, honestly, I really like this build. I like this build so far. So let's go through, show off this entire draft board for anybody just now coming into the live chat. Guys, if y'all are just now coming into the chat, make sure y'all go down there, drop that like. Okay, so let's move that down. Okay, so Firkser does go at the 1607 to Rummy Rams. So it makes me a little excited to see Rummy Rams taking him there, just so I don't feel as dumb with what we did in the last draft. Okay, so from here in the 17th, honestly, we're probably going to consider going with another quarterback. Just to get our 3 quarterbacks here and then not have to consider another guy. It's going to be fine. And I think it probably doesn't matter as much if we don't get those stacks with these quarterbacks when we're just going through, and we're probably going to be cycling through all 3 of them. I mean, nobody's going to be surprised if we get like 4 startable weeks from Zach Wilson, we get like 8 startable weeks from Sam Darnold, and then we get the rest from our 3rd QB. It's not like we're just going all in on one offense. Andrew says, do you like Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk more? I'll say if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, make a $10 deposit, you can have all my updated rankings all the way up until the start of the season. But definitely I like Brandon Ayuk more, considering the fact that you look at a Trey Lance. This is someone that most likely is going to be looking to aggressively throw the ball down the field, not necessarily look to check down. You look at an incredibly low average depth of target that you actually have for a Deebo Samuel, and I don't necessarily think that's going to fit well with the Trey Lance play style. So yeah, I definitely prefer Brandon Ayuk over Deebo Samuel. And also, I am the very last person to come out and say that a player is injury prone. I think people trying to project injuries to happen to certain players, usually it's a losing man's game, but Deebo Samuel's like the one player I think that you can confidently say in fantasy football that we know that he's at a higher risk for injury compared to other players in his same range. Okay, so Zach Pascal at the 1702, Olamide Zaccheaus at the 1703. Let's pull this back over. Okay, so we're probably going to get... So Chase only has 2 QBs. So he has Tannehill and Big Ben. Rummy Rams has Allen and Joe Burrow. Okay, so we know Rummy Rams isn't taking a third QB. We know young dope kid, whatever the hell his name is, he can't because he has Wilson, Rodgers, and Jalen Hurts. So he literally can't take another quarterback. I doubt Rummy Rams does when he has Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. So we're probably locking in Carson Wentz to this next pick. Yeah, I think getting Carson Wentz here is going to be pretty big. Now, Zach Ertz does go at the 1705. In says, I'd call T.Y. Hilton injury prone at this point, but also T.Y. Hilton isn't a significant player in fantasy football. Okay, so now Rummy Rams. Let's just lock in Carson Wentz. I mean, everybody knows we're going with him. Okay, yeah, I think that honestly in a best ball format, we're going to get some spike weeks from these QBs. We're going to get some random spike weeks from those quarterbacks. I really like what we were able to do there. Let's go through, show off this draft board for anybody just now coming into the stream. We drafted from the 107. So at tight end, we have Travis Kelce. At running back, we have Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, Ronald Jones, Tony Pollard, Jamal Williams. At receiver, we have Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Jones, AJ Green, Randall Cobb. So yeah, we definitely need to be bringing in some more receivers. We're going to be drafting one more tight end and probably 2 more receivers. I think we go 1 more tight end, 2 more receivers, and then we're probably not going to draft another running back on this team. Okay. So Quez Watkins at the 1709. And guys, please remember, if you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, to get that draft guide, to get those rankings, all you have to do is shoot me a DM anywhere. Check the description of the video. It's very, very easy. Even if you don't have social media, it's very easy to shoot me a message. You can just click on a link and then you get taken to our fantasy football group chat. You can shoot me a DM like that. And all you have to do is send me that DM, say, Mason, I don't like you. Mason, you're annoying. Mason, you have no idea what you're talking about, but I did use your promo code on Underdog Fantasy. I did use promo code FLOCK. I got my $25 bonus added to my account with the $10 deposit, and just get me the email that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with. That way I can go through and I can send that draft guide personally to you. And I'm going to be doing that all after the live stream right now. I'm going to be doing that for pretty much every 3 hours or so. I'm going to be going through and checking every account to make sure that we send out those draft guides leading up all the way to the start of the season. So make sure you shoot me that DM because I'm going to be doing that right after this live stream. Okay. So David Johnson, Tevin Coleman, and my Lord, we have seen a fall for David Johnson. We have seen a massive fall for David Johnson. David Johnson, I've only drafted him in 6.4% of leagues, only $100 entry fees. So I'm happy that we have seen that fall because a lot of times when I was drafting David Johnson, it was extremely late, like in this range. Mac Jones of the 1712. Uncle Drew, very thin at running back. Let's go see how many running backs he has drafted. He took Kenyon Drake, Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley. So he only has 4 running backs so far on his build. Very intriguing, very intriguing. Now he also has Eric Ebron. So we need another tight end, and I'm assuming tight end's getting very thin, but I like how we pulled this off. I wouldn't change a single thing with what we did at tight end, getting Kelce and then waiting as long as we could. So now let's go through, and honestly, what we're probably going to do is just continue to punt tight end. Is there any real difference between any of these tight ends available? And most people have 2 or 3 tight ends already, so they're going to have to stop drafting the position. Nobody's going to stop drafting running back receiver, so I think that we actually continue to look here. Okay, Kenneth Gainwell goes to the 1803. Yeah, so we're going receiver here. Darrington Evans. Darrington Evans would have been the one running back I would have considered taking with this pick. Now that Darrington Evans is off the board, I think we have to go receiver. You know what? I'm just thinking we have the 18th, 19th, 20th. Can we afford to only go 9 receivers with this build? Actually, no. Just get Adam Humphries in here. Come on, Mason. Don't overthink it. Just get another receiver. Just get another receiver. We almost made a very bad selection. We cannot draft another running back. I want to take Carlos Hyde here, but we can't. I wanted to. We can't. We're going to go Adam Humphries. That was honestly probably a really bad pick. That was probably a panic pick, to be honest. Dear Lord. Let me look up just to make sure Adam Humphries is still on Washington. That could have been a really bad pick. So I don't see anything about Adam Humphries. Okay, I don't think we have to worry too much about that pick. I think we made a fine selection. And that was just really scary. We have a donation coming out from James. Thank you, my man. Says, are you worried about Kittle? He's going to have a stiffer target competition. Also worried about injuries. Thinking about trading up to Waller or to Hawkinson/Logan Thomas. I will say I'm already baking in the competition of targets that George Kittle is going to have. I mean, if it was the exact same situation of what Darren Waller had in Las Vegas, I actually want to believe that George Kittle is a more talented tight end than a Darren Waller. I actually think that it's not even that close, to be honest, but I do have Darren Waller ranked ahead of George Kittle, and the reason for that in 2021 fantasy is because you're 100% right, the target competition, and I don't want to necessarily call George Kittle an injury-prone player just as of now, and I know a lot of people want to quickly label players with that tag. I am one to very reluctantly do so. I mean, yes, occasionally I will go out of my way, and I'll say that someone like Deebo Samuel, yes, I think is injury-prone, but in the case of just say a George Kittle, I think it's a little too early to give him that tag. So Kittle, I still have confidently as my tight end 3, to be honest, in Dynasty, given his talent. I would actually have George Kittle as my tight end 1. Then I know a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy to say that. But yeah, I mean, I love me some George Kittle, my dude. Okay, so let's switch this over real quick. So Adam Troutman goes to the 1904. I thought we were going to end up taking Adam Troutman there. So hopefully we get our guy making it to us. Hopefully we get our guy. And now Nick coming out with a donation says Keelan Cole is definitely my pick there, I think. Okay, so has Keelan Cole done anything in the preseason? I know that he actually got a decent contract and he got a ton of targets last year in Jacksonville. We're going to take Colin Johnson. If y'all don't know, I actually had psychology with Colin Johnson at UT. So, I mean, this guy that I want to root for. So I'm taking him. I know it's very lazy analysis. I know it's probably not great to take him on the same team as Marvin Jones, but maybe we're taking him going, okay, well, what happens if DJ Chark gets hurt? Then probably going to bump up to both Marvin Jones and Colin Johnson, taking him as our 10th wide receiver, and we're going to get a tight end in our last pick. And Rockout says, I reached on Josh in the 3rd. Shake my head. Okay, you're saying you reached on Josh in the 3rd in this? I'm assuming in a different draft. I'm assuming you're talking about Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round in another draft. Yeah, honestly, my man, I'll say that Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round, we were previously saying that he was a drastically overrated running back in that range. But now that you're actually seeing Josh Jacobs consistently fall to like the 5th and the 6th round in these leagues, I'm completely fine drafting Josh Jacobs once we get to the end of the 4th, the beginning of the 5th. I can't be taking Josh Jacobs in the 3rd, though. Okay, so Deshaun Watson at the 1909, obviously a very high upside pick. OJ Howard at the 1910. Zach says, can you scroll up to the top of the draft board? Yes, sir. Let me go through. Let me show the top of the draft board for anybody just now coming into this live stream. We are going to need another tight end in this draft, but I really wanted to get Colin Johnson there. And I still want to go through and look up Keelan Cole real quick and see if he has had any usage in the preseason in New York. The problem is, I mean, they restructured Jamison Crowder's contract. If Jamison Crowder was out of there, I'd be a lot more excited about going out there and just investing into a Keelan Cole, given the fact that the New York Giants intentionally brought him in this year. And like I said, he got a lot of targets last year in Jacksonville. But let me look up the Jets and what we have seen as of late. Okay, so let's see if we had any usage from him. Okay, so Keelan Cole got a reception for 8 yards. And I know on box score scouting, I know this is a very small piece of the puzzle, but I just want to see if there's anything behind what you're saying. Like maybe you just saw a preseason game where he popped off. Maybe you just liked him with what you had in Jacksonville. Yeah, so he's had 1 reception in every preseason game for New York so far. I just think that maybe you're making the argument that we get him on the same team as Zach Wilson. I honestly probably would rather just bet on Adam Humphries. Okay. So in the 20th round, I am going to be making a pick that I'm honestly pretty excited about. A Rockout says no Josh Allen in a different draft. Oh my man, I hate you going out there and taking Josh Allen in the 3rd. Pat Frymuth goes in the 20th round. That sucks. I really wanted to get Pat Frymuth on this team. Yeah, so we are going to be going with a tight end. I'm going to assume that it's Donald Parham. Let me double check real quick with what we actually have over here. You know what? Actually, I think that considering the fact we have, we actually need to go Dan Arnold, considering we have Sam Darnold on this team and they're going to be in the exact same tier. Yeah, so let's go with Dan Arnold. So let me go through and show y'all this entire draft board. Now, I think this is going to be the last draft that we are doing tonight since it's already midnight and I have a ton of those draft guides that we need to send out. And I literally did 10 Patreon podcasts today and I already have the list of teams that I need to record podcasts for tomorrow. So I'm probably going to start recording podcasts and be recording podcasts for the next probably couple hours, to be honest. I'm probably going to be recording podcasts until 2, 3 a.m. for Patreon right now. So I'm going to have to hop off this live stream. But thank you so much for everybody coming out to these drafts. These were $500 total in drafts. So thank you for coming out, hanging out with me. And of course, guys, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, subscribe, hit the bell next to the subscribe button, drop a like on the live stream at the same time. I mean, we go through and we do this every single night. So make sure you hit that bell so you know when we're live. Use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy with the $10 deposit. You're getting $25 added to your account. You get our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, our 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, hundreds of pages of information. Literally, we could be selling that for a ridiculous amount of money. And it's only costing you a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy. Please take advantage of that. And let me get y'all a link right now to join our free fantasy football group chat. This is a group chat that you don't need an email with. You don't need a credit card. You don't need anything. You just click the link. You join the chat. And also shoot me a DM here if you did use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Just send me the email that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with. That way I can get you our 2021 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. I'm going to spam this in the chat right now. All you have to do is click the link, choose the nickname that you want to be called in the chat. There's like 5,000 people in our Fantasy Football group chat. And thank you, my dudes, for coming out here. And yeah, like I said, if you don't have any social media, shoot me a DM in this free fantasy football group chat. It should be really easy. Just click the link and go through and choose the